Uh, uh. My name is Vosh. Uh, uh. So- Socialists have a point. I don't know. We'll, we'll go with that. I'll take that one. Howdy, howdy. What's up? I know it's been millions of years. I think it's actually been one day. Howdy. I feel like shit. Been getting 4 hours of sleep every night for like weeks. It slaps. You know how it is. What's up? You sound sick? Yeah, well, you know. Why don't you sleep when you're not streaming? Now, I know the answer you're thinking is Elden Ring, right? But actually, last night I cleaned up my studio in a way that you can't see, but I actually spent a lot of time doing it. I'm super happy with results. So much cool stuff going on that you'll never see. What's up? Vosh Re, you banned me from subreddit, then unbanned me. XD, you all is forgiven. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I've been getting my sexual kicks lately from banning DGGers from my subreddit. The reason we ended up not implementing a mass ban like with a bot is because I get a lot of sexual pleasure from personally banning them one by one whenever I want, you know? Because there are always some to ban. It's pretty much like a guarantee that anytime I go looking for them. Absolutely not Kings and Generals. Also, howdy. Oh, hey, Russick, thank you for the very kind $10. In light of the Clarence Thomas news, starting to feel like the whole system is unfixable, should I, a gay man, get the fuck out of the U.S. soon? Uh, do you mean with the info on like whether like the overturning the 2020 vote? Um, yeah, I think that I don't know. I think Clarence Thomas should like. I almost said call me Carson. That's not the right one. Low tier god. Sorry, it's another 3-word online influencer name. Don't call me Carson. Do a low tier god. that's that's a different. I was struggling for a second to think like wait, I know it's 3 words next to each other. It's Clarence Thomas was released from the hospital. Do not worry, brother. He will not be released from hell when he arrives there. I'm not watching the new Adam something. Be silent. Let's see. Was kind of weird the posts about Gen Z Dong were getting yeeted off the Vosh Reddit. Our Reddit, we no longer allow links of any kind to other Reddits. No posts, no subreddit posts. We got reached out to by the Reddit admins in our mod mail. Sorry, it's yeah, not much decision making going on here. It's inevitable. Gotta just get an auto banned. 1984, I know. What did the admins say? Just, threats of brigading or whatever. I mean, anyone can complain, right? It's just like, don't want to get the subreddit banned. You should react to this video about your DIY med debate. What is this? What? No. Wait, stop trying to get me to react to videos that agree with my perspective just because they're from content creators that you like. I'm not going to watch 21 minutes of a person saying stuff that I agree with. Like, what the... Jesus. Yeah, I saw Prager, you talked about me on a little stream, but the stream videos of theirs uh, do not get very many views. So it's not one of their main videos. Oh, I feel so fat. Oh god, I've been eating whatever I want lately. I feel like I can't even get I feel like I can't even gain weight right now. It's fucking crazy. I've been eating like literally whatever I want for 3 months and I've gained 6 pounds since I was at my lightest. I was at 222 pounds when I stopped dieting at the end of November 2021. So it's been like 3.5 months. And since then, I've just been lazy as fuck, and I've gained 6 pounds. I feel like I should have gained. I feel like I should have gained more than 6 pounds over 3.5 months of eating whatever I want on a rebound from a diet. Like that's wild, you know? Jesus. Why was Destiny banned from Twitch? I don't fucking know. It's Twitch. They don't tell you. Yes, Putin, J.K. Rowling, thank you. Just, I know everything. Just don't ask me. Don't ask me. You're losing muscle and gaining fat, Vosh. It takes a while to even out. Ah, but I've got you on this one, my friend. I wasn't exercising back while dieting either. There's no muscle to lose. Not at present, Merrick. I'll get around to it eventually. Poland, Lithuania, Ukraine are planning on creating a joint investigation on Russian war crimes of their invasion. Based. Okay. Look at that. Plenty to look at. There's always muscle to lose. My brain muscle. My biggest muscle. My brain muscle. Are you going to do updates in Ukraine? I should permanently ban every... Why would you not just watch the stream? Why would you... The title has Ukraine in it. Like, what if you just watch the stream? Possibly. And also gave me money. Do the stream now, stream immediately, yeah. Why are you so cranky? Because my stomach hurts, and I'm tired, and my head hurts. Also because I know I'm going to get questions about Destiny every, like, 18 seconds in chat. So far, I think we're pretty on par for that. Also, people in chat keep linking things that have already been linked. Who's Destiny? I don't know. Apparently it's the same as D, and that's a character in Elden Ring, so... You gonna play Wrath of the Lich King Classic when it comes out? No. We gotta stop with WoW. We have to stop, okay? I can only do one forever game at a time, and right now Elden Ring is so fucking big that it's it's basically a forever game. I thought that Total War Warhammer 3 would be my forever game, and Elden Ring would be like a week for me, and I, like everyone else, was fucking blindsided by how big the game is. So clearly not. Listen, Elden Ring is not a forever game, but it damn sure feels like one, okay? Jesus. Have I seen Donkey's review? No. Not till Immortal Empires. Dude, I don't care about Immortal Empires. I care about them fixing their shit, okay? Fix the charge bug. Fix the fucking rifts, which they're going to in the patch coming up. I'm still stuck on Market, yeah. Fix the performance issues? Well, I don't care about that because my computer's really good. Thank you for the streaming money, guys. Sorry. It's just so tough being able to afford whatever hardware I want. My computer is better and I want it fixed. Honest to God, the performance issues are so, like, inconsistent. I've heard of people with better, like, CPUs and graphics cards than me having more issues, but, you know, whatever. All right. I love gay Valley Girl Bausch voice. Yeah, I'm turning into a white woman after that giant dog that I found yesterday. Holy fuck, that dog was so fucking big. Jesus Christ. For those of you who don't look at my Twitter, look at him. What a big boy. I love him. That has to be perspective. It is. Like, the camera's closer to him, but he's huge. His head's way bigger than me. My head. How much that head is forced perspective? I don't know anything about dog breeds, guys. If I had to guess, I would say that, like, I'd say he probably weighs as much as me, just, like, looking at him. That's the feeling that I got. Like, I don't know, maybe, like, 200 to 250 pounds, like, in that ballpark. Oh, Kings and Generals. I don't know if you've done this, but if you're getting crashes with Warhammer 3, what you should do is run it in borderless windowed. Now, it had issues with borderless windowed at my 2K resolution, but what I had to do, okay, this is really annoying, but what I had to do, and there's like a guide for it somewhere, is I had to set it to my resolution and unbordered windowed, and then keep resetting until it actually did the resolution change properly, because sometimes it just won't. And then you'll realize that the mouse cursor is offset by, like, a good number of pixels. So then you have to go into the config files while you have it on full screen borderless windowed and manually reset the Y and X axis for the default mouse cursor position to 0. Because mine was at, like, negative 5719, which is definitely enough to, like, make the game unplayable. And then if you set them both to 0 and then save that and then reset, then you have functional borderless windowed, which won't crash. Why does it do that? I don't know why they shipped an unfinished product. I don't know. Yeah, I would double check that, Kings and Generals, like look online guide, like something like that, like borderless window, like mouse cursor displacement or something. But yeah, that's like the gist of it, I think. Did I see Kraut's video in Ukraine? It's pretty based. No, I have not. Oh yeah, anyway, look at how big the dog is. Oh, how is Artemy, by the way? Yeah, he ate like poisonous flowers yesterday. He is fine. That sucks. No, no, no. He's like literally like totally fine. We had some like Sakurai flowers, you know, like the cherry blossoms or whatever. I don't even know if they were like the cherry blossoms. They were one of those pink flowers that are really pretty that everyone just thinks of Japan when they see them. And and we turned our second for like well, sorry, we turned our heads around for like 1/8 of a second, and then he was fucking chomping on them. Yeah. He was fine. He didn't demonstrate any signs of cyanide poisoning. There you go. Here, there's no perspective. Big boy. Big boy. Is that a Great Dane? I don't know anything about dogs. Whose dog is that? This was at a antique guitar shop. We were hanging out with a friend, and you know, I try to buy gifts for my friends. Basically, it wasn't me. It was Vermin, but you know, I pay Vermin. So, but anyway, there was a guitar that one of our friends wanted, and it was 1,500, which is a lot, but like for an antique guitar, it actually seemed like kind of a steal for what it was because it was like from the '60s and it was really pretty. I don't know much about guitars, but yeah, no, it's pretty good. Um, anyway, we tried to buy it and ran the card, and the card declined. And I thought, wait, hold on, that can't happen. It was 15,000 actually. So I'm really really happy the card declined because the place has a no returns policy. So if my card had accepted that transaction, we would have just had that would have just had that saddled, you know. Um. Oh, show the chicken. There's the chicken. Yeah, we would have had to do a couple of TTS streams. At least like 3 or 4 to get back that one. 1,500 for a guitar is pretty nice. Yeah, one of the there were guitars in there that were like travel guitars that had portable amps. I didn't even know that was a real thing. That like a guitar that has an amp in it that just plays. I don't know how long the battery lasts on those, but those are pretty cool, I think, right? They sound horrible. Look, I'm not a big music guy. I played one for a second and it sounded fine. Did you show them Moose? Moose? The big dog? I showed them the big dog, yeah. Yes, Moose is the name of the big dog. Player Shamison? Uh, okay. Look, I cleaned out my closet. Wait, Vermin, where's the what are they called? The banshee? The thing? Where's the thing? Where do we put that? No. Right. Yeah, it's a pick, but it's a fancy pick. I don't know how to play anything at all. Let's do politics. All right. Take lessons? Never. Why do you walk in public wearing a blazer like a nerd? It's not a blazer, it's just a big jacket. Oh, you're welcome, Posada Sean. Why do you own it if you're not going to play it? Because it's fun. Learn the Outer Wilds theme. Okay. Shh. Honestly, Christ. Oh my god. You people are too much for me today. I'm getting too old for streaming. The ripe old age of 28. Okay, what are these links you fucking morons gave me? Here's Lauren Southern getting owned by news reporter on diversity in Australia. Sure, why not? Oh, and Vermin got a guitar. And it's mint. And you can't hear it because it's an electric guitar that's not plugged in, so it wouldn't matter. Well, I guess... Can that pick up? That's so gay. Well, so are they, so... Kind of? Well, that's an electric guitar for you. What? 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 Okay, Lauren Southern, something. Do I know how to play it? No. Okay, I know I need to do stream. Okay, also this. Beat. Okay. Pigeon, you can walk out of there. Moron. Okay. What is this?
What makes it not Australian to you, Lauren?
The fact that I can hardly hear people speaking English, the fact that people here are clearly not adapting to the Western culture, the signs aren't in English.
What do you think would be left of this suburb if immigrants hadn't come here and it opened all of these amazing businesses and shared their culture?
And shared their culture? I don't know if it's so much sharing as there's mostly one sect to group here. It's a very monoculture in this area.
I don't think so. If you just look across the road there, you've got Pakistani and Indian restaurants.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you see many British pubs in this area?
There's one right there.
Where?
The Lakemba Hotel, it's right there.
The
it's full of
Lakemba
Australian
Hotel.
people who are just screaming at you in English.
Were they screaming at me in English? Well, for the most part, this is a monoculture, and I think we know that. In fact, there have been massive riots in this area, race riots as well. There have been massive problems with gangs in this area that we know of. I'm sure you know of the Lakemba riots.
No, I'm the local crime and courts reporter, and I don't remember the last time there were race riots here, and it's not a monoculture. I can see, I think, 4 or 5
You're the local
different...
crime reporter.
Yeah, I can see just right...
God, that's funny. It's funny how she's not even smart enough to work around the narrative that's being presented and try to paint like a broader picture. She keeps like doubling down on the same one. This is an older video, but as far as I'm concerned, you can attack her for anything she's ever done at any point, because I don't think she's ever like apologized or changed in any way. Yeah, bridge burn with Lauren Southern. What is this? Okay. Lauren Southern has said she's also leaving Twitch now. Oh no. Damn. That's 2 alt-writers leaving Twitch. Sorry. Excuse me. Alright. Did you see Haas say genes don't exist and that Lexington was right? He'll say anything to get attention. I don't know why people fall for this shit. Like, it's like, to me, it's pretty obvious when a person isn't just far right like Haas is, but like is also just willing to say literally anything to get even a slight bit of attention. Hinkle and Haas both fit that perfectly. They do have a bunch of really dumb beliefs, but they also have an entirely separate superseding level of fake, even dumber beliefs that they throw out there just to get attention. I don't know why people play it like, oh, he said this, like, oh, he could say anything. He would adamantly defend the idea that the sky is green, like it for anything, for like a single Twitch sub. Excuse me. Yeah, Unru's here. Dude, I wish we could have debated Unru back when like I was small enough that that was a thing that would have been like interesting, whereas now it just would maybe like bullying on a fat guy. Let's see, joint task force to, let's see. Live stream fail link over Destiny's ban. It's all anyone can talk about on social media. Aren't all the white people immigrants in Australia? Well, they don't think of it that way. How does it feel that you've effectively ruined your reputation early into your career, so most content creators never wanted to associate with you? It feels like freedom. It feels like I never have to compromise on a single thing that I believe in for the sake of appealing to an audience. I've seen all the other fucking big like content creators do this, from Hassan to like Contra to H-Bomb. I've seen them, they have to keep their hands out of conflicts because they have so many like overlapping friends and allegiances and responsibilities and stuff, you know? But I have none. Absolutely none. Vosh Unchained. I am completely unhinged. Nothing regulates my behavior. Bowel movements, maybe. There's a tiny bit of a chocolate shell left from something that I ate a second ago on the desk. Don't want to leave that there. If a cat licked that up. I don't think like 1 fucking milligram of chocolate would be enough to hurt a cat. It has to be a little more than that, right? I don't actually know. Well, we shouldn't give them any, ever. That was one of the things that I found really annoying. It's that when I was looking online to learn about cyanide poisoning in cats because he had eaten some of those flowers, like Artemie, nothing online was saying how much flower petal they would have to eat. Like, I'm not dumb. I know that 1 single flower petal doesn't have enough, like, cyanide in it to poison anything, you know? Is it, like, 2 flower petals? Is it 5 flower petal? Like, I don't know. Nothing online said that. I know it depends on the size of the cat and there are other factors, but at least a ballpark estimate would be nice. Like, if it said something like 1 flower's worth, like just any info whatsoever, like anything at all. But it didn't, but there wasn't. There just wasn't. I think it's different per animal, like dogs can eat grapes or some can't. Well, the reason you shouldn't be eating those petals and stuff is because they're cyanogenic, I think. Like peach, cherry, plum blossoms, they're cyanogenic. The seeds of those fruit have cyanide in them. You can actually distill cyanide from cherry pits. In fact, I'm pretty sure Nile Red did exactly that. Of course, there's an incredibly minute amount, and like if you like, I think a human could eat like 20 cherry pits and be fine. There are a lot of factors to it. It's just a component of the, you know, the chemistry of the plant. But to get the answer, wouldn't someone have had to test it and kill a shit ton of cats? No. You could do it theoretically. Like take a petal of a cherry blossom. How much cyanogenic material is there in a single petal? You know, that's it. Like you just do that, and then what levels would need to be present in a cat before? Like, yeah, I'm not saying I don't need like a perfect estimate. I just, you know, something, anything. When I called the poison hotline, which took so long to pick up that my cat would have been dead by the time they picked up if he had eaten like enough. But by the time they picked up and I talked to them, apparently the type of animal that dies most often to like cherry blossom petals are cattle, like grazing animals, because they'll just like go over a field and just eat like 1 billion petals that are on the ground because they're eating grass and stuff. So they're the ones most vulnerable to that. But like cats are curious about flowers, but cats aren't going to like go out of their way to eat like just a pile of flower petals, you know? Well, they might. They're pretty dumb, but they're less likely to. Yeah. I would, yeah. Artemis a dumb fuck though, that he is. I have a bin behind me over there because he's been a bin boy lately, and I want to see if I can sort of lure him in to just sit there and purr very loud. Cats love boxes or bins or really any kind of container, you know. Most human lethality data is still from the Nazis. Theoretical data on lethality is too inaccurate. No, that can't be true. There's no way that, like, we're using most human lethality data from, like, 80-year-old, like, Holocaust experiments. That can't be true. Maybe for some stuff. I'd be very surprised if it was for anything, like significant, though. It's pretty well researched, I think. Especially when considering natural cyanide poisoning. Well, yeah, that would be like one of the first things you'd learn about, right? Like cyanide poisoning. That seems like something worthy of a decent amount of dedicated research. I'm sorry, John S. I guess I'm mostly sorry for the cat there. Pika. Like Pikachu. We use rats and mice for poisoning, mostly in experiments. Well, that makes sense, right? Like lab mice, right? You can put tape on a floor shaped as a square and cats will walk into it. Yeah, they're like... they're really dumb. Even large cats, lions, and tigers love boxes. There are videos of them playing in them. Yeah, I have no idea. It's just some fucking quirk of their brain, right? Like humans have brain quirks as well. Brain quirks as well, don't we? Like there are just some things that humans tend to like in terms of like the height of a room or like the width or whatever. They like hiding, but they'll jump in transparent boxes. Like, can't hide in that. I don't know. They're listen, if they're purring and they're having fun, whatever. Oh, hey, Tempest. I told stories of my dysphoria was so bad that I convinced myself not to pass this man, so I used the women's restroom a while back, and all the women were staring at me, so I go to wash my hands. That was when I realized that I passed. Fast forward. Today was the first day I finally got the courage to use the men's restroom, as stupid as that sounds. I just never used the public bathroom pretty much since the pandemic started. Oh, fantastic, Tempest. That's pog as shit. We stan a king realizing that he passes by getting weird champed by women in the women's restroom, you know? Congratulations. We stan a weird champed king. Tempest, welcome to the stinkier bathroom. Okay, I haven't spent much time in women's restrooms, but I have to say that from what I've heard, women's restrooms have the capacity to be just as fucking disgusting. I think it's just different problems, right? Like men's restrooms tend to have piss oceans that you have to swim through to get to the urinal. And like women's restrooms just tend like just period shit or whatever. I don't know. Listen, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Oh yeah, and also women tend to be the ones who take their kids in there. Fuck, that's true, yeah. All right. Chat's sharing all their experiences now. It's great. This is phenomenal stuff. Disgusting. I'm getting queasy. That could be on me for my eating though. Okay, what is this thread? Quickly change topic, okay? In case this gets turned into a segment. Just shut up. Russia's military held a big briefing this afternoon announcing the war had entered a second phase. We can make my camera a bit bigger if we're not playing Elden Ring. Thank you. Kablamo. Here's a summary of how Russia at this point in the war has depicted what it set out to do, why, and where we're at. Oh, by the way, Russia, in like 1 month, suffered more casualties and far more equipment loss than we did in Iraq and Afghanistan in 20 years combined. They've also lost more people and I think more equipment than they lost in their war in the Soviet war in Afghanistan, which did not last 1 month. So, you know, going great over there for them. As you can see, the lines of control have really not changed that much. The funniest thing for me is that they have barely managed to budge the line in the Donbass region, you know? Like, they've been closed from the north and the south, but in terms of moving through the most heavily defended portion, the one that you'd expect them to sweep through, yeah. Listen, fighting with Ukraine and their tractors is like fighting an army of necromancers, okay? As Russia loses tanks, Ukraine gets them, okay? Every tank lost by Russia is a tank towed away by a Ukrainian farmer to be brought back, you know? Anyway. First, the general said Russia had always intended only to liberate the Donbass. That's what it set out to do, of course. It had two options: fight a war in the east, but allow Kyiv to replenish its forces, or start off by knocking out Ukrainian military capacities across the country. Over a month of war, Russia has knocked out most of Ukraine's military capacities, the generals claimed. Keep in mind, everything being said here is from them. So can now move on to its next phase, which will be focused only on the east, which could involve heavy bombardment. Interesting. Russia had never intended to capture Kyiv, Kharkiv, and other cities, the general said. These are not setbacks, in other words. It's all part of the plan. Oh my god. Dude, they're such sore losers. Oh my god. Jesus. At least when the Taliban took over Afghanistan 6 hours after he left, like, the American generals and Biden weren't like, yeah, we intended them to take over 6 hours after. Like, Jesus, just, okay. And the plan was to distract Ukrainian forces while Russia, Donetsk, Luhansk made territorial gains in the east. Numerous statements made about not targeting civilian infrastructure, avoiding civilian casualties, of course, blah, blah, la, la. Defense Ministry briefing also shared, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering, like, not only has Russia engaged in indiscriminate shelling of multiple cities, they're also attacking humanitarian aid and denying Ukraine the ability to form humanitarian corridors to try to get people to extraction. In fact, I think there was actually a military official recently who said that he would surrender to Russia as long as they allowed him to enter the city and escape with all of the children. Like, as long as, which city was that? Like, if he could enter the city and like get all the children to safety, he would turn himself over to Russia afterwards. It was Mariupol? Gotcha. If anyone has a link to that, I'd like to show it. The real Kharkiv kid finder. An actual hero. I've heard people saying Azov's been destroyed or something in Mariupol. Yeah, apparently the Azov battalion has been, like, wiped or something like that. They fought, I think they were fighting Chechen forces, right? And apparently they've been sort of wiped, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a W for both Russia and Ukraine, and is therefore just an unambiguous humanitarian good. Can't really argue with that. Yeah, Nazis killing Nazis. Oh, the Chechens are doing zero fighting. Don't believe the hype. Well, it's hard to know. Whatever the case is, it seems like the Azov battalion has, at the very least, lost significant operational capacity, and it will be they're no longer capable of fielding like a full, like, a front. You know, like they've taken significant losses, is what I have heard. Again, you know, fog of war, hard to know. Anyway, Defense Ministry briefing also. Give me the link to that. The Mariupol kid finder, please. Defense Ministry briefing also shared a new official figure for the number of Russian soldiers killed. The second statement by Russian side during the course of the war said 1,351 were killed. Cope. Figure is far below Ukrainian and international estimates. This is probably like 1/10 of how many. Recently, I wish I had the links for all these, but I'm so lazy. Recently, I believe there was a Russian reporting outfit that briefly gave an actual and honest accounting of how many Russian soldiers had died since the invasion, and it was like 10,000 dead and like 15,000 wounded or something like that. I forget the exact numbers from Russia, and then immediately it was like deleted. Yeah, here we go. Literal actual hero, by the way. Police General Ebroskin offered himself as a hostage in exchange for the evacuation of children from Mariupol. Actual, genuine, literal hero. Today, in the completely destroyed city, there are many children left who, if not saved now, they will die in the coming days. Time is running out. I appeal to the Russian invaders. Give them the opportunity to take the children out of Mariupol instead of the still living children. I offer myself. Yes, I ask you to let me to Mariupol to collect the children and organize their removal. I need 3 days in the city. At the last checkpoint during the return journey with the children, I surrender. Ebroskin addressed the Russian invaders. God damn. Casualty numbers you're talking about? Yeah, it was something like this. It was like very, very, very briefly. There was an outfit. Yeah, news outlet issued. Pro-Kremlin tabloid Komsomolskaya Pravda revealed on March 21st that nearly 10,000 Russian troops have been killed in Ukraine's war before hastily removing the info from its news portal. Later, the news outlet issued a statement saying that it had been hacked. Impossible to know the truth. Is this incompetence? Is this malicious, like, incompetence? Is it deliberate? Is it not? It's impossible to know. My guess is that it's dissidents who are deliberately doing this in order to undermine propaganda from the Kremlin. That's my guess. I don't know that. I have no way of proving it. I will never be able to prove it unless someone comes out and admits it, which I hope they do one day. That'd be pretty cool. But it's what I believe. Children were the root for Vladimir Putin's war. Yeah, this is like pretty grim stuff. If you guys want to go looking for evidence of the damage this war has done, yeah, not to shy away from it. It's just, you can kind of you can kind of intuit what a lot of what I would have to say would be. Isn't it something like literally 1/2 of the children in Ukraine have been displaced at this point? Like one half of all of the under 18s in Ukraine have been forced to leave their homes at this point. Yeah. That might even be lowballing it. It's hard to know. It's hard to tell. Which half? I'm gonna guess the eastern half. If we have to separate the country into halves, I'm gonna say mostly the east half. Just a guess though. Look, horrors of war aside, there is some genuine good here, and the genuine good here is that Russia is huffing gigacopium. Just colossal amounts of weapons-grade copium. The idea that now they would be saying they had no intention of capturing... Okay, saying they didn't intend on capturing Kyiv is one thing. Okay, that's one thing. It's still a lie. Saying they never intended on capturing Kharkiv. Kharkiv. Oh, really? Yeah, you were never hoping to capture that one, huh? Yeah? Okay. Okay. You can talk about, attacking Kyiv as a way of, like, distracting them and disrupting operational capabilities, but trying to pretend that you weren't trying to capture Kharkiv, honestly, ridiculous. Absolutely astonishing. Phenomenal, legit, like, phenomenal stuff right there. This is a massive sign of weakness on the part of the Russian government, and I think that this is a very positive sign for the future of this conflict. Unless this is some kind of 4D chess misdirection before they unveil the, like, Evangelion mechas they're going to be deploying in the Donbass region, this seems to me like an indication that they have given up on the possibility of winning a full, like, conquest of Ukraine, which was undeniably their original goal. It seems like they've given up on it. Maybe not given up, but at the very least, they're like, it's not something they're confident they're going to be able to achieve. Which is very, Very, very funny. They literally pushed from east to Kiev, but never wanted to capture it. Yes. Hey, bro. Just trust me, bro. Just trust me. We committed thousands of armored vehicles on 2 fronts from the north and from the east to encircle Kiev, and committed a massive shelling campaign of it. Had a 40-mile-long convoy headed to Kiev. Bro, it was just to distract them, bro. Bro, we were just Bro, we traveled across 200 miles of Ukrainian marshland for the memes, bro. Oh yeah, Kharkiv. We just, lost hundreds of soldiers fighting a gritty block-by-block battle for a month for fun, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, okay. It was just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. Sanctions see Russians panic buy antidepressant sleeping pills. Jesus, that's grim. Russians have rushed to stock up on antidepressant sleeping pills and contraceptives, among other products. Data released with people buying a month worth of medicine just in 2 weeks. Official opinions was most Russians support Putin's decision to send troops in. Social media interviews and anecdotal data suggest many Russians have been distressed by the severity of the sanctions. It's really, really, really difficult to trust any official information on what, like, support for Putin is, because it's a dictatorship and Putin, like, arrests and kills dissidents pretty often. So it's unfortunate because, like, from a sociological perspective, what I want is, like, very concrete polling data, But it's not like we have Reuters over there, like, conducting independent polling. The polling that's done in Russia is done by Russia. So it's really, really, really difficult to look at the numbers there and go like, oh, yes, of course. Well, obviously that's reliable, Russian forces no longer have full control of Kherson. Yeah, I heard that as well. Phenomenal stuff, really. Ukraine has been just kicking them to the curb. Fantastic stuff. Memes aside, I don't think Ukraine is going to keep all its territory before the war. So the really big question here is, let's assume a positive scenario in which Russia is beaten back. No nuclear involvement. Ukraine is successful in recapturing most of its territory. The real question for me would be, what about the Donbass region? Because I imagine that after, like, imagine you're like Zelensky, you're Ukraine, right? Like, imagine that after 8 years of proxy war in the Donbass region, you are invaded by the largest country on the planet, and you win. If I was Ukraine, I would reconquer. I would reduce this part of the Donbass to ash. Not necessarily because that's the best thing to do, but because, holy shit, can you imagine them, like, after beating back Russia, can you imagine them returning to, like, the line of conflict in 2014 and then going like, okay, and now the rest of this can continue being like a Russian separatist hellhole? Yeah, I don't know. I see, like, there are 3 possibilities here. One of them, I'll talk about Crimea in a second. One of them is that Ukraine hopped up on, like, blood, marches east, and reconquers every square inch of dirt up to the border. This would be difficult, but possible, I think, if they manage to beat Russia back everywhere else. That's one. Especially since I'm pretty sure that recently Zelensky made a plea for more weapons from the West because they have adequate defensive capabilities, but they don't have adequate offensive capabilities, which suggests to me that right now the Ukrainian brass aren't just thinking about defending their cities, but reconquering territory that Russia currently occupies. I just pray to God they don't lose their marbles and decide to move within the Russian border, because if they do, we're going to have an entirely separate set of problems on our hands. That would be an inadvisable decision for a variety of reasons. It would make them look very bad historically. Yeah, just... I think that's highly unrealistic. Yes, it is, and I really hope it doesn't happen. Anyway, that's one possibility. A second possibility is that Ukraine returns to the previous line of conflict and just goes back to the status quo. This doesn't seem likely to me. And that the third is that essentially Russia and Ukraine agree to a ceasefire, and the Donbass region turns into the DMZ, basically. Like it's like essentially like it becomes as policed and as watched on both borders as like the North-South Korean border, where there are like guard outposts every 5 feet along this massive border. And that everyone inside either lives essentially in a concentration camp or they leave, and it just turns into like like millions of acres. Is it million? I think this might be millions of acres. It's Ukraine's pretty big, like a huge amount of territory, just being like left just completely empty, which is possible. You know, this could end up being like the new Iron Curtain, I guess. Oh, if Ukraine does want to join NATO, they can't have any conflicts going on within their borders, which makes me think that they're going to cede Crimea to Russia as part of their ceasefire. That's a feeling. In fact, they might make a trade, the Donbass region for Crimea officially being recognized as part of Russia, for a couple of reasons. First of all, the people in Crimea were always the most politically affiliated with Russia. This is often overstated by tankies and Russian apologists, but it is true just broadly. It's possible Ukraine wouldn't think it's worth the effort, and that would allow them potentially to get NATO membership in the future, because if they recognize Crimea as part of Russia, the rest of the world probably would as well, and that would mean it's no longer a conflict within their borders. As for the Donbass region, if they could get that in a concession, the thing that I would be curious about is like, what happens if Russia goes back to its old game and they just continue like funding secessionists in the Donbass region after the cessation of arms? Like, what does Ukraine just like do the whole fuck around, find out shit and just invade? Like what? Like what? Okay, listen. Also, hi Shu. Listen, new plan, guys. Okay, new plan. All right. We establish a new Donbass region within the Russian border. It's brilliant. Ukraine reconquers the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, okay? Declares a special military operation in Western Russia, and then after 8 years of fighting and conflict, declares these areas breakaway states that are actually ethnically Ukrainian. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's the only way out. It's the only way forward. In all seriousness, though, the problem with any kind of like ceasefire in the region is that Putin as a leader is just fundamentally untrustworthy, you know? Like there's no reason to ever believe that any cessation of violence would like be respected by Russia's side. So it's really difficult to imagine like peace without Putin being suicided in the back of the head. I don't know. It's very difficult for me to imagine like genuine peace in the region, no matter what happens to Russia, unless Putin dies. Like I understand that sounds hyperbolic, but like it doesn't not. Can you guys imagine after everything Russia has done that it would respect a ceasefire? They had a ceasefire back in like 2014. They had Minsk 1 and 2, and they just ignored both of them and kept funding secessionist groups in the Donbass region. Like, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we need Minsk 3. Do you think an option could be the Donbass really does become a separate country, not Russian, not Ukrainian, like as neutral territory? Neutral territory there would mean Russian puppet state. It's possible, but it seems weird that Ukraine would cede that ground after winning a war. You know, historically, when you're invaded and lose ground, and then you push the invaders back, like, you don't let them keep the territory they've conquered. You usually take that back, if not taking more territory from them. Yeah. Seems like letting the DPR and the LPR remain would be modern-day balkanization. Like, honestly, my main opposition to the DPR and LPR being made autonomous states isn't them being Russian proxy states, and it's not like Ukrainian national pride. It's that life there would be miserable. If those were really independent breakaway states, you guys realize those would be some of the poorest, most underserved, most, like, deprived, like parts of all of Europe. Maybe the most. They've suffered from like a decade of interminable conflict in their region. They'd be sanctioned. No one would trade with them. Like, yeah, they would be reliant on aid from Russia. And in what position is Russia to give aid right now? They're broke. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wait. Yeah, speaking of that, apparently even China is looking at sanctions for Russia. What? China's state-run Sinopec Group has suspended talks for a major petrochemical investment and gas marketing venture in Russia, sources told Reuters, heeding a government call for caution as sanctions mount over the invasion of Ukraine. Holy shit, they're going to be left behind by China, too. Oh my god, if China genuinely takes this stand, that's it. Like, that's it. That's beyond it. There's no way. That's not China doing sanctions? No, this isn't China doing sanctions, but this is China encouraging caution with regards to trade relations. Vosh, they're scared of the West, they're not going to actually sanction. Yeah, if they're scared of us and that leads to them not doing as much business with Russia, though, from our perspective, that's functionally the same. Whether they're sanctions or just like being afraid of West like retaliation, any lack of investment in Russia is good for Ukraine right now. Like, I don't think China is going to just like unilaterally sanction Russia, but anything at all is something. Do you think India will do the same? I have no idea. I didn't even expect this. This is already more than I expected. I don't really want to say. Jesus. Maxar published satellite imagery of the Russian ship that the Ukrainian military had struck in the port of Berdyansk, which is currently occupied by the Russian forces. The March 25 photos revealed Russian Alligator-class landing ship that's been burned and partially submerged. Oh, shit. Wait, is this the one where that guy was bragging about his supply lines? This wasn't it? Wasn't this the one where the guy was, like, on social media bragging about the supply lines Russia had, and he gave away the location of the ship, and Ukraine yoinked them? Literally the funniest thing in the world. I love the Russian military. They should play yakety sax over their... Everything they do. Like, hold on. Russia, brag, supply lines, why am I getting an autocomplete for Fallout 4? Yeah, loose lips sink ships. Very true. Here, Newsweek. Russia bragged about Berdyansk days before Ukraine claimed to destroy ship. Oh, this video is unrelated. Hate that. Military officials in Ukraine claimed to destroy a Russian landing ship just a few days after Russia bragged about docking the ship at Berdyansk, yeah. Excuse me. Oh, no! Oh, that looks expensive. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. It looks old. Listen, this is top of the line for the Russian Navy, okay? This right here. Listen, okay? If this was an American ship, this would be nothing. To a Russian, this is their, listen, okay? This is their flagship. Did you guys know that? This is actually the flagship. Russia's best boat. All right? This is their strongest warship, okay? It has unstoppable armaments, okay? It has drawers full of hundreds of pineapple grenades to throw into the water as depth charges. It has hundreds of rifles to line up against the rim of the ship to fire it to fire at enemy vessels. It's unstoppable. It has a swirly toilet. It's got gunpowder cannons. It has contact grenades and slings so that the Russian Navy can whoop to the... God damn it. Okay. Yeah, you have no idea how many cannonballs they have in the hold. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, the Russian large landing ship, the Orsk. Yeah. Sails for when the engines break down. Look at how many holes there are, how many windows there are through which our strong, manly sailors will drive oars should the engine of the ship fail. Heave, men. You, you, that. Apparently it was the Soratov, not the Oris guy. Gotcha. All my jokes stand. God. Buckets for bailing water. Stop. We're having too much fun. This is wartime. We have to stop. Fuck you. When you debate what if alt history? When he fucking responds to me. Thank you. Wait, what? Wait. What is the Russian... Wait, is this actually the Russian flagship? As of July 2021, Admiral Kuznetsov is out of service for a refit. It was damaged by a falling 70-ton crane from the floating dry dock PD-50 in a fire that killed 2 during the refit? Holy shit! The Russian Navy was incurring casualties before the fucking war started. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. Is this really their flagship? Admiral of the Fleet of the Soviet Union. Holy shit, it is. What the fuck? What is wrong with this shitty country? Jesus Christ. Fully operational in 1995, but it was ordered in 81, so it was like bought, it was like commissioned, the whole process started during the Soviet Union, but then it got inherited by the Russian Federation. Oh, it was launched in 85? Laid down. Oh, launched in 85. Wait, commissioned? Wait, why does it say commissioned after? Oh, by commissioned, I thought it meant paying. I've paid too many furry artists for porn. Sorry. Yeah, commissioned is in like commissioned. Yeah, okay. Oh, this thing was in Syria. Wait! Russia deployed their flagship to Syria? What? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay. Jesus. Okay. They have one aircraft carrier? Then make your flagship not an aircraft carrier, okay? If you made your flagship just some ancient, outdated battleship that's larger thanks to modern technology, do you know how badass that would be? Do you have any fucking idea how cool that would be? Can you even fathom? I'm pretty sure that battleships are like doctrinally... We looked this up on stream before. It used to be back in the day that battleships were like the big dog. In like naval warfare, but nowadays, like if you really want to blow shit up, you have an aircraft carrier deploy like bombers, and they just fly 1,000 miles away and bomb. You also have missiles. Like cannons are pretty outdated. However, these are also the coolest things in the universe. Battleships are objectively cooler than any other type of ship. It's not even close. There's no contest. There's no argument. If Russia, listen. Can you imagine how fucking cool it would be? Because we make fun of them for, like, reusing old Soviet tech. If Russia was like, yeah, and here's our new flagship being deployed now to Black Sea, and you look at it, and it's like 3 football fields long. It's a battleship, and it has enough ordnance to flatten a city from, like, 50 miles away. Totally outdated. Incapable of fighting any modern navy, but brilliant at taking out cities from the coast. How fucking cool would that be? How awesome. Listen, Russia, I'm just saying. It's a lot better than the shitty aircraft carrier vibes you're bringing to this. The guns could literally split smaller ships in half. Yeah, these were like... What were the millimeter cannons on these things? Wait, hold on. What were the... Hold on. U.S. battleship designations. What was our biggest and best battleship? Here, wait. U.S. biggest battleship cannon. Just give me a millimeter. The Iowa-class battleship USS Iowa fires a full broadside of her 16-inch 50 Mark 7 guns. Jesus fucking Christ. Yep, there you go. 16-inch caliber. Ah, yeah, you like your 9mm pistols? Okay, well, what would this be? Like 500mm? Something? 400? Several hundred millimeters, okay? Jesus Christ. That's just a cannon? Yes, it is a cannon. Look at the fucking gas. Look at the explosions, these things. These explosions aren't from the fucking shells. These are the explosions from the propellant. This is just moving the shell to its target somewhere on the other side of the planet. Off camera left. 406 millimeter. Woohoo! God damn! Now tell me you wouldn't... Yeah, you can literally see the ship being pushed up from the shots. From the wake it's leaving, see? The wake that it's leaving on this side of the ship, it's literally being moved this way. From the fucking guns firing. How does it not tip over? It's very wide and flat. And heavy. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so wouldn't you respect Russia if, like, they did this? Come on. There was a planned Montana-class battleship. Would have had 12 16-inch Mark 7 guns up from the 9. Okay, it would have had the same type of gun, but would have had 12 instead of 9. Wait, no wonder they canceled it. When was this? When were they talking about building this? When was this? 44-ish? Yeah, I don't know. After all of the, like, advances that we had in military doctrine over the course of the Second World War, it seems to me like it'd be kind of a waste to go like, here's our new battleship line. It has 3 more of the same type of cannon. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, I don't know. It seems to me like we've indicated that there are, like, other directions we could go. Here's the Iowa firing its cannons. We're mega stun-locked. One of my favorite anecdotes about naval warfare is that iron-hulled ships were invented in America, and both the Confederate and the Union got them at around the same time. And there was a brief period of time where both halves of the warring civil America had the strongest navy on Earth, because the cannons that either side ships had could not break the armor of the ironclads. Both ships were literally incapable of damaging the other. Like, you have to imagine some kind of alt history where the Civil War never happened, and the United States with like 3 or 4 ironclads just sailed and conquered Europe, you know? Just, I know it's stupid, roll with me. Just these undefeatable ships that cannons are just bouncing off of, you know? Better days. Woo! Woo! Fuck, that's cool. Yeah. I fucking love war. I love destroying civilizations and tearing apart cultures for minor territorial gains. Woo! Yeah! Listen, I've said it before, but, like, how much more cool would it be if all of this was to fight against some, like, evil alien bug race that just was, like, stupid and just wanted to kill all humans? You know? Because then you could be, like, actually jingoistic, you know what I mean? Like, just anything. It can be, I don't know, void creatures or monsters from the core of the planet. I don't care. I don't care. But, like, the thing that really takes all this down is that, like, an enormous amount of money and ingenuity goes into constructing military ordnance, and it's, like, such a bummer because you know what all that ends up doing? Killing other human beings. Humans are all right. Like, even the shitty humans could have been not shitty if they just got, like, I don't know, taught better things, you know? So, total waste there. But if it's like some existentially evil external threat, then you can be as jingoistic as you want. Absolutely. That wouldn't even be like at that point, like, everyone would be united, right? Like, anarchists or whatever. Like, you'd have anarchists, like, talking about demolishing the state, and then they would see, like, a giant tank get built, and they'd be like, woo, fuck them up! Yeah! You know, that'd be cool. God, I'm sniffly. Just give me a second. Not lefty Twitter. Do you think that if we had some kind of war against, like, aliens, just whatever, just some existential threat, don't you think that, like, people who, like, try to interfere with the war effort, like, we would probably arrest them, right? We probably would. Like, these types always show up in media, and I have a feeling that, like, human governments are willing to arrest their people for speaking out against unjust wars against other people that were done for no reason. I'm pretty sure they'd be willing to arrest people for speaking out against just wars of self-defense against an existentially evil threat we can't communicate with, or, like, you know, whatever else. Yeah, I don't know. Ukraine reportedly surrounds 10K troops. Holy shit. When was this? When did this come out? March 24th. This was yesterday. Yeah. Apparently Ukraine managed to launch the fucking counter, the counter surround around Kyiv. Like, Russia surrounded Kyiv, and then Ukraine surrounded Russia surrounding Kyiv. It's like a battle between two, like, anime shonen speedsters, where, like, the villain who thinks they're really fast, like, teleports behind you, but then they go because then behind me, the silhouette of the even faster hero teleports behind them. Nani? All right. Woo! Oh, I remember this. This movie sucked. Somebody linked this in chat. This is from Battlefield 2012. Apparently, these are the shells used that we were looking at, the 403mm shells. That's one of them. Being hiked by those dudes. Oh, Battleship 2012. Sorry, I was thinking of Battlefield Earth. Okay, my bad. I'm stupid. That movie sucked. I never saw this movie. I guess they carry a big bomb shell. It can fire these. Ah, yes, of course, the nuclear artillery. What was the yield on this? The W-19, yield, 15 to 20 kilotons, and was, like its predecessor, the W-9, a gun-type nuclear weapon. Now, that's what I call leveling a city from the coast. Wait, hold on. I want to check something. Then we'll move on. I swear to God we're going to move on. I just want to check something. I'm inquisitive, okay? Is there a way to know how many of the existing nuclear arsenal of the United States is tactical versus strategic nuclear weapons? Or is there, like, a distribution chart of the tonnage yield for all the bombs? No, not really. Of course it would be classified. Check the wiki you dip. Nuclear capabilities of United States. Nuclear weapons of the United States. Our current stockpile is just under 4,000 warheads, but not all of those are going to be on missiles. I just want to know how many of those are strategic versus nuclear. Or sorry, strategic versus tactical. Tactical is more short range. Again, tactical nuclear weapons are done against military emplacements. You know, tactical nuclear weapons were theorized to be used against fortified positions, fleets, stuff like that. Strategic nuclear weapons are used to make cities disappear. Strategic nuclear weapons are the ones that would end the world. I'm pretty sure that we could deploy like literally thousands and thousands of tactical nuclear weapons without causing a nuclear winter, right? Because 15 to 20 kiloton yield bombs, I mean, mathematically are nothing compared to some of the megaton bombs that we've built. They're very, very small in comparison. It's still magic? Well, it would still kill an unbelievable number of people. I'm not defending it. I'm only saying that, the problem's nuclear winter. I think we have to worry about, like, the strategic ones for that. Okay, the United States, this is from the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation. Our inventory is 5,550. Okay, why not 5,555? With about 3,800 active warheads in the stockpile and another 1,700 retired warheads awaiting dismantling. Under the 2010 new strategic arms reduction, the U.S. is allowed 1,500 nuclear warheads on 800 strategic launchers. Only 700 can be deployed. So at least 800 of those warheads probably are strategic nuclear weapons. That would be bad. Anyway. I'm not looking at an Adam Something video. Go watch it yourself. I don't want to take views away. Non-strategic nuclear weapons. Oh, this is like a whole document. Oh my god, from the Congressional Research Service. When was this published? Why don't they have publishing dates at the top of these? Okay. Moving on. Stop. Stop blinking. Stop. Have you seen Destiny debate about trans athletes? His YouTube comments are full of transphobes now. Destiny's community has taken a pretty right-wing shift for a long time. It's probably one of the reasons he got banned from Twitch. I genuinely don't think it had anything to do with him taking the trans women shouldn't compete with cis women position, because there were other people who have that position. Even I've been fairly agnostic on it. I acknowledge that it's a difficult question, and the strongest answer I have is just like, we don't really have enough evidence to believe this is a problem worth being discriminatory over. But, I don't have, like, an incredibly, like, strong, like, affirmative stance. It's not something we have a ton of research on. So I don't think he got banned for that. He might have gotten banned for having Nick Fuentes on the Twitch stream, who's a band streamer, for, like, 10 minutes. That's possible. But I don't really know. The fact that Twitch doesn't say why people are banned, like, it doesn't tell you what the VOD point was, or like what point or whatever, is absolute bullshit. It is massive, massive bullshit. It is unbelievable that a premier streaming service can ban you with no transparency whatsoever, and you literally have to guess. Like, you need to have insiders in Twitch to tell you. I genuinely don't know. That is bullshit, and because I don't know what he was banned for, I can't really comment on the ban. All I can really say is, like, he's done plenty of stuff in the recent past that I thought, like, if Twitch banned him for that, I would think, like, okay, that makes sense, So it's not as though he hasn't clouded the field, you know what I mean? He's definitely provided a diverse range of potential explanations for the ban. He's definitely confused the issue by doing a number of things. God. It could be this, Vosh. What is this? It's a streamable clip. I don't know why it's not loading. Huh. It's just not loading. The site's not loading. No doubt because everyone's rushing over to hear what Destiny said. Now, the title of this is Destiny referring to trans community as inbred fucking disgusting. Oh, hello.
Your one-on-one voice trans debates lately have gone well. Don't cancel. It's just not worth it. That community is never worth engaging with. There's just no point in doing it. Like, it's the risk of me, like, ending up getting, like, permabanned and my life destroyed because of these, like, inbred fucking disgusting losers is, like, it's just not worth it. It's just totally not worth it.
Prophetic, almost. Is he in Celia? He was playing Elden Ring there. He was in one of the crystal mines. Even that, like if Twitch banned for that, would that even be that inconsistent? Can you imagine if you, like, referred to, like, the black community as like inbred disgust. Like, yeah, like Twitch, listen, Twitch permabanned me for saying cracker. Like, given the standards that have been set up, I'm pretty sure the only reason he hasn't been banned ages ago is because he's like a legacy partner, you know? Lord knows I have been permanently banned for far less than what he has done. So yeah, so with regards to Twitch's consistency, it's impossible to say. It's impossible to know. I genuinely don't know. You've been permabanned twice. I got permabanned for saying cracker, but you've not appealed. No. I appealed last night just because I wanted to find out if Destiny getting permad from Twitch was some kind of like Full Metal Alchemist equivalent exchange thing where like I could somehow wrest myself from the ban through the power of his ban, you know, like to see if there's some sort of universal constant that I can exploit to get back on the platform. But yeah, to restore balance, essentially. If I do get back on Twitch, I'm not going to stream there regularly. I just want the ability to talk to other Twitch streamers, you know? Also to drop in on people's streams, like just being in chat and dropping in and saying like, hey, what's up? Like, you know, I don't know, it's nice. I know a lot of people who stream on Twitch, so, yeah. I don't know, just whatever. Would you consider his take on trans athletes actually transphobic? I don't know I don't know. I only see him on Twitter like bullying trans people, and like I only see like little trans accounts like going private or like freaking out because they get like transphobes in their comment replies because Destiny quote tweeted them, and a ton of far right people follow Destiny on Twitter for like targets to like engage with. You know what I mean? I don't really know. Yeah, just I don't know. His community's gotten pretty far right. That is true, Tempest. It is true. And I give you my VODs right after the stream ends most of the time. Oftentimes. Oh, you know, Danny, or I think Synth was here, is her name. I followed her for a while on Twitter before unfollowing her because she was an insufferable, like, DGG stan. But then I refollowed her on stream, actually, because of a horse dick joke. You know, I'm consistent. Destiny, like, banned her from his chat a couple of days ago because she was pointing out that his behavior was attracting like a far-right audience that was engaging in transphobia unironically, and she just got banned for that. Okay, am I misremembering, or did he not say like banned for posting child pornography? Yeah, because he likes calling trans women pedos. He seems to do that a lot. Or something like that, yeah. Didn't Destiny delete a ton of tweets recently? He's done it like 18 times over the past month because he keeps just being like a far right Twitter account and then deleting everything. I don't know. Look again, I can't speak to the legitimacy of the ban from Twitch because Twitch is so opaque about how they ban that you literally just don't know. You just have to like guess. Sometimes it's obvious if they're like, for instance, like if you show your gaping asshole on stream accidentally somehow, like, and you get banned for nudity, like, well, okay, there you go. But, you know, with stuff like this, it's really hard to say. The only thing I really have to say is, like, honest to God, I'm amazed that he wasn't banned for the rape apologia arc, you know? Like, for those of you who don't remember, there was this lady on Twitter who just tweeted, not at anyone, not in response to anything, just not even in this circle, just a person on Twitter who tweeted that she'd been raped like several times and essentially asked men to not do that. And then Mindwaves, who's like I guess adjacent to Destiny, I don't really know, tweeted some snarky shit at that. And then Destiny jumped in and said something about how like if she wasn't strong enough to speak up to the guys who were raping her, then it ended with him calling her like a retarded child for not having the strength of character to speak up to a rapist or whatever. Like, out of nothing. Like, again, this was just some random... And then, you know, he argues with his community. He argues with Haas of Akir. And meanwhile, during the argument, like, Haas... No, not Haas. Sorry, that's Infrared. Hans of Akir. There you go. They're close in names. Hans of Akir, not Haas. Haas is probably fine with rape. Hans of Akir isn't. Bless the man. And, like, he's also been a victim of sexual assault. And, like, he talks with Destiny, and Destiny's community is like mocking him the entire time. I think Hans cries at one point, and like Destiny's community is like trashing him for it, even though before they used to be like men should be able to cry without being trashed, but like that was a different time with different people and a different Destiny. And anyway, Hans points out that if a woman confronts a rapist like right there, he could just like rape her harder because it's a guy, and Destiny laughs at that. And then Hans points out that like she only noticed that the rapes happened after the sex had been finished, so calling them out right there wouldn't do anything apart from making the guys angry. Like it wouldn't unrape her because it was like a stealthing thing, like taking the condoms off. And Destiny's response to that was, well, then maybe she shouldn't be having sex. Like if you get raped too much as a woman, like it's on you. Just like don't have don't have sex at all. And it was just like his behavior during all of this was, and I'm not exaggerating, legitimately scummier than the behavior and mannerisms of a lot of alt-righters I've debated with. You know, like it could be up there with like some of the worst stuff Sargon did during Gamergate in terms of like moral, like in terms of the morality of the behavior there. Now, in terms of Destiny's positions politically, he's a left-leaning liberal and a progressive, you know, but positions don't really matter when your behavior contradicts the positions. Like, wasn't that the whole thing with Sargon too? Oh, he was an egalitarian, you know? Oh, Sargon was a left-leaning, he was a classical liberal. Now, his behavior was exclusively him trashing feminists back during the Gamergate era, but that's because those feminists had gone too far and they were bad advocates for gender equality. And Sargon was the rational, you know, the voice of reason, who was using his superior interpretation of progressive ideology to make fun of and attack these, and it's literally just what Destiny does. Your positions are irrelevant, your behavior is what matters. And no matter his political positions, no matter what he debates for and actually believes, the stuff he does and gets emotionally involved in makes him pretty indistinguishable from just like a far like right like antagonist in a lot of issues, not holistically, but whenever he gets angry, which seems to happen pretty often these days. And now his community is primed to think that, oh, no. It wasn't that Destiny has been acting like an indefensible shithole and breaking terms of service, or at the very least doing worse things than what other people have done for breaking terms of service. It's the crazy trans community. And now you're going to ride this narrative. Oh, well, Destiny was progressive, but now he's the punished Destiny who stood up for the transes for years, but they betrayed him after he did nothing at all to them, and so on. The point is, the narrativization is crazy. No matter how you scan it or look at it. Oh, God, I nearly forgot. After all of that, Destiny went on Twitter unprompted after, like, being wrong on everything related to this stealthing rape apology a bit, and said he just thinks it's weird that women would go on and like dump that info on Twitter, just on her own Twitter, like just to her own followers, which is weird because that was the point of Gamergate, not Gamergate, sorry, the Me Too movement. Like hashtag Me Too is literally about encouraging victims of sexual assault and rape and harassment to speak up about it, to bring attention to it. That's literally like hashtag Me Too, like the Twitter hashtag. Like that's the point. Like that's the point of it, you know? So he's like anti-Me Too as a concept. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to hating the people he hates, Destiny doesn't have any positions other than the ones which lead him towards spite. This is just one bit of drama. I don't follow everything he does. This was just 1 2-day period during which his behavior exceeded like the moral, you know, I don't know, heinousness of a lot of the far right, like skeptic or alt-right types that I've known for years have engaged in. Like right there, just in 2 days, I don't know all the stuff that he does. Whatever the case may be, his community is very far down this line at this point. It's unrecognizable next to the community that I used to be a part of or the streamer that I used to follow. So, I mean, his fans, the DGGers, seem to be under the impression that there's some kind of love lost here. Like eventually I'll get back together with him, but I don't know how to make them understand that in terms of how likable Destiny is, from my perspective, I would legitimately rather be friends with like Sargon. Like I would reach out to Ian Miles Chong, you know? Because to me, it's not just about the political positions that people hold. Because you know how on this channel, I've talked with a lot of far right people um, who seemed like, how do I put it? Like, their positions were really bad. Like, they're basically ethno-nationalists. But it's because of bad, like, preconceptions. It feels like you could argue them out of it. Like, they seem like decent people, but on top of that decent personhood, you have like this framework of misinformation from consuming bad YouTubers or reading bad information or blah 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 blah, right? I've had convos I did just like a week ago when I was on that Political Compass Discord debate where that guy was like basically an ethnonat, but he seemed like a good person underneath that. You know what I mean? I guess I like talking to those people because I get the impression that even if I have strong disagreements with them, even if I think their positions are morally heinous, their framework is functional. I can engage with them and we can disagree and they can be pushed into something more ethical, you know, like the tools are there. And Destiny is like this, and I hope you all will forgive me for saying this, a brilliant person and very funny. But he is so consumed by his emotional state. When he feels hateful, it just obliterates the processes that I ever liked about him. And that's become more and more like what drives so much of his behavior. You know what I mean? So and look, like, you can't argue a person out of that. Like, that's a therapy and medication thing. I'm sorry. So yeah, I don't know. I was exaggerating a bit with the Ian Miles Chong thing. I don't think with the Sargon thing though. I genuinely don't. I don't know. I guess I can't I guess I just can't fathom that kind of behavior. I have no idea what would lead a person to behave in that way. It's not like I haven't said like edgy stuff, and it's not like I haven't taken positions in a reactionary way, and it's not like I haven't attacked like, you know, like the trans community in a reactionary way or whatever. It's just like, I feel like if you get past all of that, the disagreeable things that I am or that I believe are things that can be talked through. And the disagreeable things that he is at this point are impossible to move through or to talk through. They're unreachable and essential elements of his emotional of like his emotional state. You know what I mean? And it causes him to act pretty indistinguishably from a bunch of far right people. I don't know. He seems to actively seek Twitter fights and shit. Look, I don't he can antagonize if he wants. It's a God-given right. We live in the United States of America. I can't help but feel though that something fundamental here has been lost. You know? And honest to God, like maybe the reason why I'm like rambling about this right now is because when I see him behave this way, it's like the main thing on my mind isn't like, oh, he's going to harass people, oh, he's going to have a far right community or whatever. It's like, what if I turn out that way? I'm very self-assured in the rightness of my positions, you know. What if I end up like that? Like, what, like, is this like is there a way to know that you're going down that road? Or do you just end up there? Because I am sure he would disagree with everything that I've said here. I'm sure his community would too, you know. But so do you even recognize it when you're headed down that road? Is there like a way, or there warning signs, or is it just entirely a perceptive thing? And you can just be all the way down there and have no clue. And then you just wake up one day and everything's different, but you don't know it, you know? I mean, people will try and tell you. Sure. But haven't people tried to tell me for the Canada discourse? Didn't my main mod on my Discord, Dingle, leave after being resentful towards me after the way I've handled a number of controversy? Didn't I just lose 4,000 subs and ban a bunch of people from my sub because they were telling me to take the L for saying women should shut up on Twitter? Now, to me, this is all defensible. To me, I can look at all of this and I can process it bit by bit. Yeah, but that was stupid. I think it was stupid. I think it was stupid. I believe it was stupid. I hope you can understand my concern here. You know, it really does seem like there's no reliable way of knowing. I don't know if it's just some act of faith or whatever. The fact you're even thinking this is evidence you probably won't end up like that? Nope. Because back before Destiny lost his mind, one of the things that he said most often is the last thing he ever wants is to create an echo chamber so he never challenges his own positions. Right now, everything I'm saying, I'm knowingly echoing stuff that he said before I even made a YouTube channel. There are no guarantees. Is it just the uncharitability is the issue? Because I think you guys logically agree. I've said this before in a video that I put on my off channel about being technically right. Logically agreeing with someone means nothing when they spend their time promoting reactionary politics, buddying with far-right people, attacking minority communities, saying they're banning people from them, purging everyone from his community who doubles down and disagrees with him, laughing at rape victims, saying, like, I don't care what a person logically agrees with. I care what their behavior is. Destiny defended you with the cat shit. Okay? He can defend me on 1,000 issues. My position on him is not going to be modified by his... at least his community's desperate desire to see us back together. This isn't a reality TV show. There's no narratively satisfying arc where we get back together for 3 months before having another funny falling out. He could defend me on 1,000 things. It wouldn't make a difference. It doesn't change his behavior. And my problem with Destiny has never been that he doesn't like me. Much as a warning sign that tends to be in people. If he was morally upstanding and disliked me, in addition to that, then, whatever, that's life. You have to get a dependable friend. I just don't think there's any way to really protect against it. It might just be like an emotional, I don't know, like a stoicism thing, or maybe he just has anger issues or something. I don't really know. Yeah. Don't you think your community will push back really hard? My community has pushed back really hard. And if I get annoyed with you, I ban you. You have to do that as any kind of like political streamer, especially one as contentious as me, because you guys are fucking insufferable. But like, to me, okay, here's the closest that I can get, okay? To me, I don't feel that I ever lie. If I'm wrong about something, I don't feel I have to lie, and I can defend the behavior that I engage in. I don't know how Destiny could defend the rape apologia or the attacking the premises of Me Too without misdirection. And the times on Twitter where I criticized him for it, he devolved into like bickering shitposting every time. Any credit, he like, now that's just Twitter, of course, but from what I see on stream, it's basically the same there. Like Hans Vakir was levying like essentially objectively correct arguments against him in that debate. And Destiny's response was to just laugh and meme through everything, as far as I could tell. Levying indefensible points, as long as it got omega lols from his community, like that's the marker for a good point from him. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like that. Yeah, I'd like to think so, Shu. I do have to say, in terms of the idea, the narrative of like Destiny's been betrayed by the community he defended, I think that narrative is more true for me than it is for him by far. He's been streaming for longer than me, but the left has dedicated significantly more energy into attacking me than it has him, because I'm very much in the left and I make an effort to be in the left, whereas he's sort of got his own circle. And I also dedicate my stream much more, significantly to progressive politics than he does. So I feel like the betrayal narrative works more for me. But when I think about all of that, though I do get frustrated, it doesn't drive me towards a feeling that that I've been wronged and my being wronged warrants worse behavior from me. I didn't see that, Tempest. Yeah, I don't feel like the Joker, basically. Like, none of this never happens, and it leads me to then feeling like I am the Joker. That's the big one, I suppose. You aren't a contrarian? Only when it comes to media takes. Advosh, I think he agrees the girl is not at fault. He just thinks she needs to be more responsible. So he laughed at the idea that she could be raped harder for confronting a rapist, assumed from an innocuous tweet of hers that didn't specify whether or not she noticed that she had been raped or stealthed before or after or during the sex had taken place, that it had happened during, and that she was weak for not speaking up, even though she can't really change anything at that point if the person's already committed to raping her. And his response to realizing this was to say maybe she just shouldn't have sex. I don't care if his logical position... This is what DGGers always do. You lie about his positions to cover for him and ignore every other thing that he says before finally settling on the defensible take that isn't even remotely the same as the stuff he was saying before. There's a difference between a fine thing to do, which is to be hyperbolic on Twitter, but then to refine it a bit for a real point. That's fine. It's Twitter. But that's not what he did. He just blamed her for getting raped, laughed about it for days, attacked the concept of Me Too, and then later he's like, oh yeah, I just think that we should all be like careful and protect ourselves against sexual assault. That's not the same argument. They're not even remotely the same. Those are entirely different words. It's not the same. Like, you can settle on that if you want, but that's just not the same thing that happened. I have a whole video on this. I looked over the tweets. There's just, you can't gaslight the whole world into thinking that he didn't do all that stuff. And anyone who, when angry, would settle into blaming a rape victim for getting raped or like attacking the concept of Me Too is someone who will do or say anything when they're angry. There's someone who has no self-control whatsoever when they're angry. They can never be trusted for any kind of political advocacy because all they need to do is be angry. And suddenly, like, anything is justified. If anything, Destiny reminds me a lot of Ethan Ralph in that both of them have this weird habit of insisting that they go, you know, tit for tat, and that they only ever go after people when they're gone after, and they keep everything proportional. But then both of them, the nanosecond anyone is perceived to like the moment they get angry at someone, they both like lose their shit and will do or say like anything, you know? Which reminds me of like Destiny making fun of Doe's suicide attempt because Doe was like mean to Destiny on Twitter once. Like, and then his community during all of that was like, well, you know, Doe did say this thing, and I saw people on Twitter trying to like defend Destiny. It's like, well, what did Doe say? And they were like, well, Doe's like a crazy lefty. Like it's nothing. It doesn't matter. The mechanisms for justifying this behavior are so broken and abstract that like Destiny's community will defend him doing anything because they're always going to find some workabout logic to like, you know, explain why all that happened. I don't remember Tempest. I can't even keep track of all of this shit. I feel like my drama is like fairly perceptible in relation to this. It feels like so much of my drama is people on the left get a fuck ton of clout from attacking me. So every minor thing I do that they dislike, whether or not it's actually bad, they like blow it out of proportion. And of course, I'm not going to let that go. So I engage with it and it turns into this big thing. But the root of the issue is always like really minor, and everything that gets big from it is like the escalation and the attacks that happen back and forth. Whereas in Destiny's case, it's the opposite, where the initial thing that he does unprompted is morally indefensible, and then it gets blurred over and obfuscated with a bunch of shit posting and gaslighting from his community. And then he moves on to like the next thing like 5 days later or whatever. It seems like opposite approaches to drama, and I gotta say, I wish that I had his capacity for it, because if I was as capable of like dusting down my drama as he is, then I feel like I would have like 8 billion subs. Like I'd be unstoppable, you know what I mean? God. Anyway, the only reason I'm rambling about all of this again is because when I see stuff like this, it exacerbates my personal anxiety that one day I'm going to be as like stupid as Destiny is when he gets emotional. Or that I'll like convince myself that my like deranged emotional bouts are somehow like a product of my enlightened brain and the only true remaining leftist, you know? Once again, therapy? I'm not the one here who needs therapy. Well, if I do, there are people who need it more, okay? That's all I'm saying. Including half of you. Get help. I think we should just become a hydraulic press channel. Yeah, true. Do you actually consider Destiny stupid, though? Yes, when he's emotional. How many times have I said this? Destiny's a brilliant guy. Until he gets emotional. Until he gets spiteful and hateful. At which point anything and everything is out the road. Maybe stupid's not the right term there, because even when he's defending something indefensible, he's still fairly eloquent in doing so. It's more that his capacity for reason is broken, if that makes any sense. He can intelligently navigate his way down up a sewer pipe to find like the shit pile or something. Like it's intelligence directed in a very unwise way. Eloquence is not intelligence. Intelligence is highly, highly, highly fragmented. People can be very smart at some things and very dumb at others. In his case, I just think he's an emotional person. It is, funnily enough, a characteristic that he shares with Hasanabe, a person who is, in moment-to-moment speech, fairly capable of engaging with ideas. I'm not saying I think he's some sort of brilliant wizard genius, but you can have a conversation with him at the very least. But if he gets upset, which he does often, instantly he is incapable, completely incapable of engaging with any disagreement whatsoever. It's just completely impossible. It's an impossibility. So I don't know. Maybe they're just dark parallels of each other. I have no idea. You know. All right. No, Alucard. Maybe Argantos. I'm comfortable in I'm comfortable in how I handle this stuff. When I reflect on my behavior, I usually, I'm usually fine with how I conduct myself. You put chat in essay posting mode? Yeah. This is a very serious stream so far. Of course. Excuse me. Yes, I have heard about the J.K. Rowling thing. Hold on, we'll get to it. I feel sick today. Oh yeah, I saw this, by the way. This is fucking hilarious. Breaking, North Korea's state-run television shows edited footage of Kim Jong-un guiding the test launch of what the country referred to as the Hwasong-17 ICBM. Yeah, apparently they built an ICBM. It probably doesn't work, but like, whatever. Gonna assume the North Korea music is not copyrighted. Just a hope of mine. What's the time? What? The time to roll the truck out? It's very, very funny. To me, the funniest thing as well is the idea of this being done with a watch. Like it's World War I or something, you know? Like what to like we're rolling something out here, but it's like what are we okay. I don't know. Imagine watching this in 50 years. There's a particular genre of comedy which is like far right dictators in countries that are very poor trying to flex. It's very, very, very funny. It's like my favorite shit in the world, to be honest with you. All right, fine. Yes, J.K. Rowling.
began yesterday. We know this very well. In Hollywood, they avoided films even when they made films where the only winner, the country that defeated fascism, was the United States, and didn't say anything about the Red Army. But if you look at the number of military units
Real voice
fighting in the East, that was the Russian units. So they just canceled the contribution of the Red Army into the defeat of the Nazis. And in Japan, they don't even mention who dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or they just say it was done by some abstract allies. And the fact that it was the United States who did such an awful...
I choose to believe that this isn't the translator just trying to keep up or whatever. I choose to believe that this is Putin just being incredibly uncharismatic. I'm going to attribute all of this to him. My guess actually is that if you've listened to Putin speak, he has a very slurring, kind of slow, deliberate speech. And I'm guessing that because of the conjugation differences between Russian and English, it's difficult for the translator to construct these sentences at his pace in English in response to his speech in Russian. That's my guess.
Slaughter at the end of the war. This fact is not even mentioned. So they just cancelled cynically this truth. They cancelled Joan Rowling recently, the children's author. Her books are published all over the world, even just because she didn't satisfy the demands of gender rights. They're not trying to cancel our country. I'm talking about the progressive discrimination of everything to do with Russia, this trend that's unfolding in a number of Western states with the full neglect, sometimes encouragement of Western cultures. They're now engaging in cancel culture. They're even removing Tchaikovsky, Shostakovich, Rachmaninoff from posters. Russian writers and their books are canceled.
So now that J.K. Rowling is officially, with this speech, in league with the Russian government, can we sanction her? Can we add her to the sanctions, the oligarch sanction list? It's time to seize some yachts. I don't know if she owns a yacht. She's very wealthy. She might own a yacht. I don't really know.
Now, the latest program to cancel world literature was conducted by the Nazis in Germany 90 years ago. We remember that footage when they were burning books. It's impossible to imagine such a thing in our country. And we're insured against this thanks to our culture, and it's inseparable for us from our motherland, from Russia, where there is no place for ethnic intolerance, where for centuries representatives from dozens of ethnic groups have been living together, and cultural diversity is the pride of our society, the strength and priority of our state.
Oh yeah, what books were the Nazis burning? What groups were they burning books about? It's just funny because, like, right now, like, one of the big genres they burned was everything having to do with gender and trans people, and the right is launching, like, this unprecedented attack on censoring and banning everything pertaining to those particular subjects. Also, they took Maus off the bookshelves, or it's the library in school, right? The little mice in the Holocaust. Anyway, I think... So, by the way, Putin is correct about one thing here, in that the drive in America and other countries to respond to what's happening by, like, censoring or taking down anything they perceive to be Russian is really stupid when they're Russian historical or cultural artifacts, you know? Like, the fucking, like, yeah, don't read Dostoevsky or whatever. You know, it's the whole get rid of Karl Marx, even though he was German and worked in England, you know. I saw there was like a play canceled because it was derivative of that. There was like a movie that was going to be made that isn't. It's just dumb stuff like that. I don't have it like all written out or whatever, but it's pretty stupid. If anything, you know, I think it essential to reaffirm at times like this, that our sympathies are with the Russian people, that there is a universality in the human spirit between Americans and Russians and everywhere else, and that our issue is with the Russian government. All it does to Russian people is make it look like our hatred is essentialist towards them, which reaffirms the positions they have, the ostracism they talk about, that their government reaffirms to them. I think it's really disgusting behavior, you know. If you want to sanction the Russian government or the economy or whatever, fine, that's a part of wartime. But, like, this is some freedom fries tier bullshit. Like, if a Russian family here in America, a person who maybe moved to America like 6 or 7 years ago before this war began, I want them to feel as welcome in America as they did in Russia. Every part of the world should be their home. The world is a home to humans, every part of it, or at least it should be. You're acting like this is a widespread phenomenon. Any concrete proof of it being the case? No, I'm not going to give you sociological data, and I think I'm treating it with the same seriousness it deserves. The issue is this has always been the case. When antagonism erupts between countries, ethnic divisions get reinforced between those powers. That's a universal thing. It has happened all throughout history, and it's a force that we have to overcome because it is unnecessary, it is counterproductive, it is harmful, and it's dumb. It's cringe. We saw this against Chinese people when COVID broke out. We saw this against Muslims when 9/11 happened. We've seen this against Muslims a couple of times, actually. We saw this against Southeast Asians in general during the Vietnam and Korean Wars because Americans aren't too particular with their discrimination. Same reason why, yeah, Sikhs get targeted whenever people are mad at Muslims because they both, in the mind of the American, have, you know, head towels or whatever the fuck Americans think this is, you know. We put, you know, Japanese people in concentration camps. Internment camps on the West Coast during World War II. You know, across Europe, there actually was an essential hatred of German people for a long time. I'm just talking about America too. Like, if you want to look in like the Mediterranean region, like the hatred people have, the issue is, okay, we cannot allow hatred against a government bleed down in hatred towards a people. The people, especially when we're counting on the Russian people to oppose the behavior of their government, they must understand that the world doesn't hate them. The world hates what their government is doing. The world stands with them because standing with them means giving them the tools to free themselves from that autocracy, from the conscripted 18-year-old boys who were sent off into Ukraine being told it was a training mission, from the sanctions which their government has brought down upon them with their unjustifiable behavior. We must not hate the Russian people. And I do not. Anyway, J.K. Rowling responds, whoa! Rowling hits back at Putin after he likened Russia to her in rant against cancel culture. Wow! Critiques of Western cancel culture are possibly not best made by those currently slaughtering civilians for the crime of resistance or who jail and poison their critics. Hashtag I stand with Ukraine. Nice, Joanne! Thank you. Less likes than her response to me. Impressive. God, I hate liberals. The rare Joanne W. Okay, here's the real question, okay? Here's the real question. Here's what we really need, okay? We need Putin to respond to this by saying he's disappointed after Rowling had taken such a strong stand against Western delusions such as, like, gender ideology or whatever, okay? We need to... J.K. Rowling needs to be put on the goddamn... in the fire, all right? I want to see how she handles that, okay? The pressure cooker. I would love that. I would love that so much. It's the Stone Toss Tug of War meme. Well, not really, because it's supposed to be surprising in that meme, and the idea that J.K. Rowling would side with far-right autocrats is not surprising, considering that she did that with Trump implicitly by, you know, standing with all of his pundits and fans in the anti-trans stuff. We'll see. Anyway, it is just, God, I hope that happens. Many Russians still like Putin. That is true. They often like their strongmen. And by the way, the narrative the Russians have been told by Putin and by the Kremlin is that the rest of the world hates them, that America and NATO and the Western hegemon hates the Russian people. The theocrats of Iran do the exact same thing. That's the narrative, you know? That's how autocrats get away with suppressing their population. Maybe things are bad here and under us, but they would be so much worse were it not for us. Trump did the same stuff too, you know? Trump's that little meme that he liked posting, they're not coming after me, I'm just in the way, they're really after you. Yeah, they hate you, I'm just in the way. Exactly. A perfect way of reinforcing, I saw that meme with Destiny's face on it just a couple hours ago. A perfect way of reinforcing this, this world narrative that's been built. Wouldn't the Russian people see the sanctions as an attack on them? Then form a better narrative. Frankly, I think NATO powers should be doing more effort right now to win the propaganda war, not just for Ukraine, but for the Russian people. I think Schwarzenegger so far did the best job of this by speaking so positively of the Russian protesters against the war. That was the thing. So far, I think that has been the most decisive, like, PR stunt to indicate to the Russian people that we should have a shared hatred of their government. But I think more effort can be put into that. More work can be done there. I think, in fact, I would go so far as to say that would actually be more important than winning the PR war for Ukraine against Russia at this point, because the world has already spoken on this. The UN vote has already spoken. The world stands with Ukraine. And so, of course, do the arms companies, which are backing them and not Russia. So in terms of like moving forward, what we need now is for the Russian will to fight to not exist. And the best way to do that is to show Russians there is a better way. And by the way, the Russians have good reason to fucking hate us. You know that? The shock therapy that Yeltsin put the country through, what we did to them after the fall of the Soviet Union, the policies that we encouraged, the negotiations we made, the trade deals that we put through, the economic hegemon we broke them into, we fucked them. I don't know how much of this was deliberate because we hated them after the Cold War. I don't know how much of this was because I'm not fully researched on it. I don't know how much of this was incompetence because neoliberals are fucking stupid. I genuinely don't know. All I know is that Russia was met with like unimaginable economic deprivation. Not all because of us at all. Russia fucked itself plenty, but we could have done more. We could have done a hell of a lot more. And we didn't. And we let them languish, and we did essentially nothing. We just let it happen. And is it really surprising that after that, after people like, you know, Yeltsin would oversee this shock therapy, this process of the country being torn apart by neoliberalism, of people being made worse off than they were under the Soviet fucking Union? Is it really surprising after that they would turn to a strongman like Putin who tells them things they want to hear? Yes. The reason the West did this is because they hate you. The West wants to rule the world, and we are in the way. We are the bulwark against their imperialism. They tried to destroy us with shock therapy, but they will succeed no longer. This is the narrative they built. We must have a counter-narrative. In the shock doctrine, Klein indicates it was both incompetence and purposeful. I would very much like to read this. There was definitely some malice involved. Yeltsin was only able to fuck over Russia because American advisors propped him up in the 90s. I must read this. I must read into this, yes. Listen, I think the people of Russia have very, very good reason to hate and to distrust us. Unfortunately, the best thing we can do at this point is indicate that as bad as we have been to them, Putin is being worse. And that is a very shaky moral ground to operate from. So I think it would be better if we made an effort to indicate to them that we have a shared interest in the rebuilding of Russia for the Russian people. I mean, Christ, how hard would it be to rebuild Russia? Have you seen what their GDP is? We could... I legitimately think that if we move some money around, we have enough discretionary spending leeway to just double their GDP. What? Seriously, what is their GDP? Hold on. 1.5 trillion USD, as opposed to us, 21 trillion USD, less than 1/10 of our GDP. Did I say spunding? Spunding. I am quite tired. There you go. USA versus Russia. GDP. Why doesn't it just give me charts here? Yes, 21 versus 1.5. Formerly 1.5. I'm sure it'll go down. Hold on. Discretionary spending, Russia, government. The federal budget of Russia. The federal budget is... The deficit is 21. Wait, where's the budget? Budget revenues. Okay. Back in 2016, the spending, about $233 billion. I think we could help them out. I don't know if we could double that, though. That seems like... doubling that might be tough. Man, I don't even know. We spend $7 trillion. We spent $6.82 trillion. Back in 2021, Russia spends 1/30th of our federal budget. No, what? Yeah, 1/30th of our federal budget. We could help them. We could build them. We could build back better. We could build back better. Your federal budget is a mess, though. Okay, true. However, compared to Russia, I'm pretty sure that our books look like they were organized by a fucking savant, okay? Listen, okay? I have no doubt that if you compared our budgetary, organization compared to them, ours would look like it was assembled by Christ Almighty, and theirs would look like it was assembled by some sort of, I don't know, spiteful hobgoblin army. I don't know, how about y'all build your own country's infrastructure first? What do you have against building Russia's? Oh, what? Do you think... What? Americans have such incredibly high standards of living compared to Russians. Why would we not... Why not both? We can't spare a little? Is that not economic imperialism? It depends on how you do it. If you do it so that we dictate the way it's spent, we dictate the where it goes, we dictate policies, we hold it, contingencies, you can only get it if you get this, so on and so forth. Yes, economic imperialism. But I'm not advocating for any World Bank IMF shit, okay? I'm saying flat out, they should just get money. They should just be rebuilt. I am not aware of how to do this best. I know Russia is a corrupt country, and I understand this is a complicated subject, but it is something to strive towards, and it is something that I want done, and I think great expenses should be undertaken if it means being able to do this. Want to go straight in the pockets of the oligarchs? Then let's find a way to do it in a way that doesn't happen. Take as much time as you need to research it. Spend as much money as you want. They're human beings over there. And I'm perfectly... pardon me for being an American exceptionalist, but somehow I think the most powerful country on earth is somehow capable of aiding in the development of another country, even if it's corrupt. I believe that. Russia's entire GDP would only make it the 4th biggest state in America. Yeah, let me guess. New York, Texas, and California take first billing, and then it would be Russia. And then what? Pennsylvania? I don't know. Russians have been indifferent to the suffering of the Ukrainians dying. Don't say stuff like that. First of all, Russians live in a disinfo bubble. Their propaganda is produced by the state. Second of all, there have been massive protests. Third of all, do you know that? Have you done polling? Have you seen polling done of Russian people that isn't being done by the Kremlin, an organization that would want to exaggerate support? The people in Russia are terrified of their government. Well, indifferent sometimes, terrified otherwise, ignorant often. There are a number of emotions the Russian people, as I understand it, experience when thinking of their government. trust, as I know, is not one of them. I grew up in Russia. We have internet, lol. Okay. We have internet here in America. How many Americans practice faith healing? You think that's enough? We have internet, lol. What about, what do your algorithms prioritize? Which sites that back mostly Russian-speaking people, where do they lead? What information is promoted there? How many people in your country actually use internet for news acquisition? Of them, how many of them get their info from a broad or diverse range of sources? I'm sorry, we live in America. How many Americans get news from non-American... Like, you guys realize that for a Russian, getting news from, like, U.S. publications on Russian affairs would be like an average American opening up, like, Al Jazeera and getting info from there. You realize that, like, not many Americans get their news from Al Jazeera, right? Like, just keep in mind, okay? It's Ukrainians are just saying we need to be less apathetic to Slavic suffering. Well, sure. Yeah, that's fine. So Russians shouldn't be tackling their Nazi problems? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Who said this? Is there another streamer here that I am not aware of? Is a ghost speaking into the microphone when I am not? Can I not hear them? Russia has a huge national supremacy problem. Okay, we should fix that. I don't know what any of this has to do with me wanting to rebuild a country devastated by sanctions the United States has led. Should we not? Do the people of Russia not deserve to lead dignified lives? I don't know. Everyday Russians have talked down to Ukrainians and everyday sentiments from the everyday Russians to probably... Tired Trees, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. This has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. All right, moving on. At Vosh, they've been colonizing other countries for centuries. It's not Putin's mentality. What the... All right, Vicky Radosh, you get to be the main character of the next 5 minutes. How much of a fucking chauvinist do you have to be to essentialize Russian imperial sentiment to the entire fucking ethnic group and pretend speaking to an American in a chat full of Americans that colonizing must essentially impugn the morality of the descendants of those colonizers? Where are you from? Where are your ancestors from? The Polish Empire? What? The English Empire? What, are you from Spain or Portugal? Not France, I hope. What the fuck are you talking about? We colonized the planet. Russia was a fucking infant compared to England, and now Russia today is an infant compared to us. We're so powerful we don't even need a military to conquer anything. Our trade deals single-handedly bankrupt or elevate countries, and all you have to do is kiss ass to neoliberalism to get in the in crowd. What do you, like, what? How could you possibly, what mentality? What Russian essential mentality? Why? They're Ukrainian? I don't care if they're Ukrainian. Do you think you get to be, what, ethnically prejudiced just because your country is being invaded? I will personally walk up to every single racist Ukrainian after this conflict is over, and I will beat the shit out of them in Minecraft for being racist if they are racist. Not if they're not racist, and also only in Minecraft. And only a little bit. And also not if they're a child, because there are racist children. Just, you can't, all you do is perpetuate the cycle. You can't, it's very frustrating. Listen, I understand some frustration here, but like, what do you carry this mentality forward forever. Okay, so it's the Russian people. So what do you want to do? What, do you want to powderize the entire country? Like, what are you suggesting? You realize the Ukrainians also themselves had an empire in times past, right? Like, what, do we just exchange hands now in a post-nuclear world? Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. There is no such thing, no real such thing as a national mentality. There's no such thing as a nation state, not in an essential sense. And you know what? There's also no such thing as the people. There are only persons grouped together at times for sociological categorization. But there isn't the idea of this mythological the people, the Russian people. It's a myth. It's a myth created by people in power to direct groups of people against other groups of people. Always has the categorization been the tool of those who separate. As a gender abolitionist, we understand that while the sexes, male and female, may be things that we as humans, as mammals, are born with and live with, that doesn't change the fact that the roles assigned to both, men and women, have been categorical distinctions imposed to enforce the ways in which people are allowed to live their lives in wildly unnecessary ways. You know, maybe 10 trillion years ago, tribal societies felt it's, socially useful to have like women who just gave birth breastfeed or whatever, and that should have been like a socially expected thing. But when you get to the 17th century and men's and women's clothing are both like $16,000 each of poofed fabric going in opposite directions, and there are very specific social etiquette protocols on how exactly to talk and curtsy at the other one, like, okay, clearly we have gone beyond any sort of biologically essentialist designation here. Race as well. Race as we understand it today, not a concept that we were born with. There have always been tribal groups, there have always been tribalist differences, but the idea that these differences were distinguished primarily by skin color was a product of scientific racism that emerged in the late 16th century, which was generally used as a post hoc way of explaining the justification for white people enslaving black people. Like, Europeans didn't enslave black people at first because they thought black people were worse and inferior and deserved slavery. They enslaved black people because of the trade routes they took to get to the New World. The fact that passing by the coast of Africa was relatively convenient and on the way, the fact that there were slavers in Africa who were willing to sell those slaves, the fact that they were relatively less capable of defending themselves and not organized into the proto-nation states that European powers were, all of the pre-existing systems were just conveniences. The post system, the racial hierarchy, was invented to explain and to justify. And then, God willing, we get the fucking nation state. And it's just been a barrel of laughs since then, hasn't it? Now, we get a goddamn post-nuclear fragmented world where not a single square inch of territory outside the seventh continent is not a part of some other fucking country. You can't piss on a tree anywhere without violating some private or public standard ordinance. And the nation state drives itself to the line of every other nation state to the fucking molecule. There's no space left. There's nowhere on Earth, again, except for parts of Antarctica, which are uncolonizable unless you are incredibly fucking wealthy. And the fucking moon, have fun going over there. Elon Musk wants to conquer Mars, have fun with that. We have nothing left to the truly public commons. And what do we get for it? The idea that there's any difference between Americans and Canadians, or any difference between Americans and Mexicans, or any difference between the French, the English, the Irish, the Polish, the Hungarians, the Russians, the Mongolians, the Chinese, the South Koreans, and the Australians. There aren't. There are infinitely complex gradients of experience, of skin color, of geographic diversity, of language, of cultural affinity that bleed and blend together in a post-globalist world where anyone can move anywhere as long as they have the money to do so and the borders haven't been closed for some stupid fucking reason. By the way, another concept which is a product of the nation state. Try closing a border during a fucking, kingdom, like in a kingdom, in a monarchy. You can't do it. They didn't have social security numbers back then, but now it's possible because we track every single fucking citizen to just deny to human beings the ability to live within parts of the only planet we have. And there's nothing. All of this we made up for what? For convenience's sake? No, we made it up because powerful people find it much, much, much easier to lead armies against other powerful people when there are categorical distinctions they can place themselves within alongside the people they're controlling in an army or in a bureaucracy or in an administration or in a serfdom or a group of farmers or a citizenry or whatever else, or in an economy. What is the American economy? Can you tell me? How many companies exactly are a part of the American economy? Is a company a part of an American economy if it operates in America but its headquarters is in Hong Kong? What about if a country has a business within it that's owned by the United States, but all of the tax revenue goes to the U.S. government because the headquarters is somewhere in fucking Langley. What does it even mean for a company to be an American company or a Chinese company or whatever? You know what it means? It means tax law. That's what it means. That's what it means to them. Okay. It doesn't mean they're any more your people. It doesn't mean they're any more with you. It doesn't mean they're any closer to you geographically these days. It means which taxes they have to deal with. That's it. It is a mathematical calculation taking the guise of a geographic proximity, which they employ to delude people who buy shit in America that said it's made by an American company, that they're buying American, as though all the component parts that the American factory used to put the shit together weren't made in China and mined in Africa. It is a complete misdirection, but people buy into these categories. Now, I understand as a sociologist that categorizations can be very useful because even though these categories are arbitrary, unnecessary, and harmful, they still indicate things about human behavior, and we can learn about patterns by tracking them. But my God, do not get prescriptive on me. Do not with this, my people this, our people that, this people that. If I conked all of you over the head and fucking dumped you in the middle of the ocean until you swam desperate, head bleeding over to an island, all you have there are two people, okay? You can figure your coconut shit out however you like, but the nanosecond you fucks bring gender or race or, God forbid, nationality into the conversation you have after the fucking your head clears, you're doomed. It reminds me a little bit of legitimate, I think, UN-directed policy where they've talked about the potential nationality of any future moon colonists. I know it sounds far-fetched, but really think about it. The first colonization vessels that make it to the moon are invariably going to be controlled either by a corporation or by a government. So does the moon colony then become a colony of that government? Do they ever get to declare independence? My personal feeling, my personal thought is that we live fleetingly short lives, and it's very easy to kill a person too. We lead very fragile lives. And the more of our time is wasted and the more of our lives worsened by approaching other people as transiently separate categories, as opposed to just people wearing a different set of clothing, the infinitely worse the human experience is. Because all these categories that I've talked about are as arbitrary and ever-changing as clothing. They're just clothes. And that doesn't mean they're meaningless, they're meaningful, but that does mean that they should be treated as what they are. Drapery over the important bit, which is the human being. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm ranting. Okay, there I ranted. I did my bit. That was more than 5 minutes. Thank you. I love you too. Boring rant that misses the point. Ah, well, you know. We try our best. Okay. What was this? What was this? Close that. All right, let's do some memes.
The Batman.
You heard the voice, didn't you? You heard the voice. I can't hide it from you. I can't even lead up to it with an intro. Yeah, you did. That's what I get for loading the page. All right, listen up. I don't care whether or not you've seen the Batman. We're going into spoiler territory. I'm sorry. I can't resist. This like to dislike ratio. Ben Shapiro reviews The Batman. Yeah, I have to. How could I not? I saw him on Twitter saying it was like woke or something. I have to. How can I resist? If you want to avoid spoilers, you can come back. You can come back when this is done. Good luck. I love you. It was kind of woke. I love it. For anyone who's interested in my thoughts on the Batman, I posted a video to my second channel where I talked about the things I didn't like about it. I made that video because I liked the movie. When I like a movie, I generally find it more interesting to talk about the issues I had with it than the things I liked, because I liked most of it. It would have been kind of an unfocused endorsement of the things that I enjoyed. But I talked about the things that I didn't like, and now Ben Shapiro is going to talk about the things that he didn't like.
My review of that is coming up in just one moment. This video is sponsored by Ring.
Hey, right off the bat? Whoa!
So last night I went and saw The Batman, went and saw it with my wife. It is 1 million hours long. And
True.
it's one of those movies where I started off and I was like, okay. And then I got a little further in. I was like, all right. And then I got to the end. I was like, meh. And then the more I thought about it, the angrier I became.
Somebody on Twitter said Ben Shapiro after his first sexual experience in response to this, and I thought it was very funny.
And so you're, and then I got a little further in. I was like, all right. And then I got to the end. I was like, meh. And then the more I thought about it,
There
the
you go.
angrier I became. And so you're about to hear
Sorry.
a lot of hot takes on The Batman because I
Hate this movie.
Okay, first of all, I'm just going to tell you right up front, spoilers. Spoilers aplenty here. So if you haven't seen the
I gotta say, Ben Shapiro's shift over the past few years to be like appealing to 14-year-olds has probably been a pretty effective business decision because he looks like one anyway. But it does make his content harder to watch as a 28-year-old. Oh, thank you.
film yet and you want to see the film and you don't want to be spoiled, I'm warning you. You've been warned. All right, this is Detective Batman. So if the original Michael Keaton Batman was sort of crime-fighting Batman and the
Don't you
Christopher
copyright
Nolan
me.
Batman was city-saving Batman,
Don't you?
this Batman is supposed to be Detective Batman. And this has a long history in the Batman comics. Some of the best Batman comics, particularly my favorite, The Long Halloween, is rooted in the idea of Batman not just as Caped Crusader, but as a great detective, smarter than everybody else, capable of picking up on clues, investigating and tracking down crimes.
I think that's true. They normally play that up in the animated Batman stuff as well, like the Warner Brothers animation, and then later the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And I feel like that's always been the most interesting thing. Like, if Batman's main thing is that he's good at fighting, like, isn't he? He's objectively worse than like everyone else, right? Because he doesn't have powers. So, yeah. If we're gonna go with something special about him, I always thought it was that he was super smart and could do detective stuff and plan and find out weaknesses. Wasn't that one of the major arcs in the comics? It was, I forget what it was called, but basically it was the Justice League realizing he had like a kill switch for every one of them. That he had some like plan. What was that called? The Tower of Babel, I think. Yeah. I remember that one being pretty good, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to start with what's right with the film because it's going to be real short. So what's right with the film is that it looks great. It is a film noirish take on Gotham City. It almost feels kind of like retro Taxi Driver Gotham City. So everything is very dirty. It's all taking place at night.
I get that.
It's shot in kind of grayscale at times. It's got a lot of warm oranges and reds, but against a very dark black. So it's a lot of muttered dialogue. It feels as though it's taking place in the same city as Joker is taking place. So if you saw Joker, Todd Phillips' Joker, which looks like 1970s New York, it feels almost like the other half of that, but it seems more like the take on.
I don't know if I agree with that at all. I think they had totally different aesthetics. They were just both grungy. Yeah, okay.
What future New York would look like if you were living in New York in 1970. That's sort of a good way of putting it. The music to the film is okay. I think that Michael Giacchino tends to be a little bit derivative in how he does the scores to the films.
I don't know anything about music.
He basically takes the music that Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard wrote for Batman Begins in the Nolan trilogy, which the theme goes da-da, and here he just inverts it. So instead of da-da, it's da-da. Okay, fine. So it's a little bit derivative. But
isn't he supposed to be a music guy? This seems like the kind of take that I would hear from a guy who's not a music guy. I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, wow, this is exactly how I would make this criticism, knowing nothing. You know, I just feel like as a guy who theoretically knows about music, Ben Shapiro should be able to deliver to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. It's just I don't know.
But the score is totally fine. The acting is okay, as we'll find out in a second. They give Robert Pattinson nothing to do as Batman. Nothing to do as Batman. I didn't think that Zoe Kravitz had any sort of chemistry with Robert Pattinson. So she's fine. She's kind of flirty. Meh. I didn't see anything particularly.
Hard disagree. First of all, Robert Pattinson played his character perfectly. He's supposed to be an angsty edgelord. They finally played up the angsty edgelord. I really hated how in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, I said Patrick Bateman Batman. Jesus. Oh my god, all I have is Patrick Bateman. Oh my god, what's his name? Oh my god. It's like he's become that guy from the memes. Oh no. Bale. Christian Bale, thank you. Yeah. Hey, listen, they're both like wealthy New York City guys, okay? Anyway, Christian Bale. Wait! Did Ben Shapiro say Gotham is supposed to be an XP of New York City? Isn't that Metropolis? I thought Gotham was supposed to be like a Rust Belt city. Like, I assumed it was like Chicago or Detroit. That was the vibe I always got. Yeah. No, New York? I always... It's based on New York City? Okay, no, whatever. Okay, I always thought, like, Metropolis was New York, and Gotham was, like, Chicago or whatever. I don't know. Okay, look, whatever. Anyway, I think that Robert Pattinson played the character perfectly, because I was always bothered by how Christian Bale played him as, like, perfect in every way. Like, of course, he's you know, he's Bruce Wayne, so he's, like, handsome, and he's, like, you know, everything. But, like, he's so charismatic when he's out as Bruce Wayne, but like anybody who is the Batman is not going to be like normal, right? Like in the animated series, Batman, when he was in Bruce Wayne, always came off like a robot, you know? Like he was friendly, but like in a very stiff and unemotive way, which I thought was great. Because it's like, there's no fucking way the Batman is like a normal guy when he's not wearing his costume. There's no shot. So I think Christian Bale played that perfectly. And I thought the dynamic between him and Catwoman was fantastic because Catwoman was so fucking horny and all he thinks about is vengeance. And it's very funny. It's very Sigma. There's nothing funnier than having a very hot woman and a very hot man and the woman being very into him and him just not picking up or caring at all. It's very funny. It'll always be funny. It reminds me of those Bale comics. You know, the comic artist on Twitter who will draw like orcs and elves, and the elves are super horny and the orcs are just annoyed by how horny the elves are. Does anyone have like an example? Yeah, Bale Buddy. Yeah, exactly. Wait, let me just find one. It was like the perfect vibes. It's only showing single images on Twitter. I can't see the whole. Darn. How would I even see this? Editors, cut this out. They've just been posting Elden Ring memes. Jesus Christ. You know they won't? Yeah, of course they won't, because my editors hate me and they like making me look stupid in my own videos. I'm aware. I know what they do. Nah, he's been getting too meta lately. I can't even show... Damn. Alright, whatever. Anyway, the meme is just that they're hot elves. It's all got like this vibe. I need to pee. Just look at the comic. All right, that's enough of having softcore porn up on the screen. I think I remember one specifically where it was like the big titty elven lady. What was the artist called? Bale Buddy. Yeah, you like it now that you've seen the art, huh? Where a big titty elf is like at a bridge, and she's like, "Oh, I hope I don't get attacked by a marauding ogre." And then like an ogre shows up, and she's like, "Ah, don't use my holes." And then like the ogre just like demands a toll or something. And she gets annoyed and pays the toll and just leaves. Very good. All right, we have to stop. Damn, I don't know, guys. Who are you more into here? Are you more into the hot nerd elf girl or like the hot orc? Holy shit. I don't know. This is a buy moment. This is like, yeah. Whew. I'm reading it. I don't care. Then we're getting back to the video. Hey, nice Narutork shirt. I'm a fan too, huh? Is your favorite character Saskelf? He's pretty cool, huh? Like the way he fights his inner darkness. I can relate to that myself, you know? Sharingan! Huh? Oh, my shirt? Yeah, my girlfriend bought it for me. I think she's being ironic. Oh, I don't watch cartoons myself, so I don't really know Narutork. Sorry. Oh, yeah. No biggie. See ya. Okay, I'm sorry. Stop! Moving forward.
Wrong with her performance. I just didn't see a lot right with her performance. You have John Turturro showing up as Carmine Falcone, and he is John Turturro, so he's okay. He's somewhat menacing. The best performance in the film is Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. You literally can't see Colin Farrell in this makeup. There's no way that you can see Colin Farrell here.
Stop.
The whole movie, I'm staring at him going, that's not Colin. It is Colin Farrell. It's the best performance in the movie. Paul Dano gives a good performance in the film, although he's sort of playing the Joker a little bit, although he's playing it more wide-eyed, as Paul Dano is apt to do. The main character of the film is the Riddler. And herein lies the main problem with the film. The biggest problem with the film is that the film hates Batman.
Okay.
Like the actual Batman character hates the Batman character. And this drives me up an absolute wall. The biggest problem with the film is not the wokeness. Yes, there's some woke touches. You have Catwoman, who is a woman of color, who is, of course, good. And you have the black female mayor, who is...
Okay, hold on. Let me unpack that in a second. Hold on. Just a moment. First of all, I just want to say, purely from an artistic standpoint, that a piece of media in which the media is critical of the main character and of everything the main character represents is not bad. Actually, some of the best art ever produced has been critical. Breaking Bad is a character study where arguably the worst person is the main... Okay, whatever. Let me just rewind that. I was getting ready to pause, and then he just hit us with a truck.
Up an absolute wall. The biggest problem with the film is not the wokeness. Yes, there's some woke touches. You have Catwoman, who is a woman of color, who is, of course, good. And you have the black female mayor, who is good. And you have the black Jim Gordon, who is good. Every white...
Okay. I do appreciate the lack of subterfuge here, where we're just admitting that wokeness, which they're explicitly against, is when people are black. Like, just nothing else. Like, explicitly that. First of all, almost every portrayal that I've ever seen of Catwoman has had her be a woman. I can't believe it's like they made Catwoman a woman. Yeah? And Selena Kyle, I like always see with brown skin. I don't even know what her ethnicity is supposed to be. I just always see her with brown skin. I don't really know. They had a politician who's a black lady who has no... I don't think she's like an established lore character, the candidate who was running. So they just had a black woman, and then they had Gordon be black, but Gordon's been played in like a bunch of different ways. So I don't know.
You have the black female mayor, who is good, and you have the black Jim Gordon, who is good.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jim Gordon just needs to be like a gruff old guy with a mustache and glasses. That's it. Apart from that, I genuinely don't care. He just needs to be a gruff but kind-hearted old guy with glasses and a mustache. That's it. That's the only thing that Gordon is. That's the only thing that Gordon is. Okay, nothing else matters.
Gordon, who is good. Every white character is apparently bad, like all of them. Fine, whatever. I don't really care about that. That's fine. You have Catwoman.
He cares about that. Also, not every white character is bad. basically like every character in the movie is bad. Like there are people of color in the people who are bad, and yeah, he cares a lot. Look, Ben, here's the issue, okay? The main bad guys in this story were A, mobsters, B, the political elite of Gotham, and C, alt-right internet guys, okay? And all three of those groups are generally white people. If you have a problem with that, like, it's like, does he want them to like diversify? Like, yes, the alt-right insurgents are very often full of people of color. It's like that. Because the line these guys always take is, don't force diversity where it's not warranted. But that's kind of what he's implying he wants. Okay, just whatever.
Say stuff about white privileged elites, and she makes a suggestion that Bruce Wayne as a child, when his parents were killed, he doesn't really have a right to be super upset about that because, of course, he was very, very rich. That doesn't, kind of rings hollow. Now, a lot of these lines seem.
What? They were. I think it's pretty worthwhile to point out that when Bruce Wayne was orphaned, he was immediately taken in by and cared for by like the butler, and he was a billionaire. And when other people are orphaned, they went to the orphanage of Gotham, which was like rotting and dilapidated and full of like drug users at this point. It seems, I don't know, it seems like there's something worth commenting on there. Like there's something there. I don't know.
Like throwaways for film lefty Twitter. But the main theme is not a throwaway. The main theme is what matters here. The film despises Batman. So every Batman iteration has to explain why a man who is a billionaire would dress up like a bat and go around beating up criminals. It's not answered. And the director doesn't know. And the writer doesn't know. And this is the problem. So in the Nolan.
Because he's a traumatized child compensating for his trauma by trying to enact vengeance against the people that he... Wait, it's his first speaking line. The first thing he says in the movie is the answer. I am vengeance. That's the specific answer. It's a cringy line delivered by a person who's obviously emotionally broken. When I heard him say that, my immediate thought was, oh God, is this where it's going? And then when the movie continued, I realized, no, that's where he's gone. Yeah, the difference here is Ben doesn't like that answer because he doesn't like the introspective answer.
Films, to take the contrast. The question as to why Batman does this is because if Batman does not actually intimidate the criminal underworld because the city is so corrupt, no one else will do it, and money isn't going to solve the problem. And so he needs to create a theatrical kind of fear in order to dissuade the criminal underworld from participating. And then, as it turns out, he also has to save the city itself and demonstrate his faith in the city by becoming a symbol. Here, you don't really know why Batman is doing what he's doing. It's never explained. He's very wealthy.
What? You do, it's just not a good reason. The point is that he's not fixing anything. That's the point. The point is that this isn't just metatextual. This is the text of the film. The film literally ends with a montage over which he's narrating how before he thought he could help the city by doing X, but now he realizes he has to do Y. He's not just missing out on subtext here. This is the explicit text of the film. Yeah, he said that he was trying to inspire fear, but now he wants to inspire hope.
He doesn't apparently do anything with his wealth. He doesn't try to give charity. He doesn't try. I mean, this actually made a plot point. He's a bad man. He's white. He's a bad white man who does.
Ben, are you having a victim complex?
Who doesn't actually give charity. He's not involved, and he's not playing that as a role. Again, this is part of the problem, is that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same character. So if I keep using the Nolan comparison because it is the gold standard for all superhero movies, not just Batman movies. So when you look at Nolan's Batman, Bruce Wayne is the character that Batman is playing. Okay, Bruce Wayne is not real. Batman is real. Batman is who Bruce Wayne really is. And so he has to play a fop. In Batman Begins, he's squiring around ladies in his Lamborghini, and he's buying hotels, and he's doing all of this just to cover up for the fact that he is Batman. So you get very separate Batman and Bruce Wayne. You get the same thing actually with Michael Keaton. Batman and Bruce Wayne are two different characters. Here, Batman and Bruce Wayne are the exact same character. There are points where Bruce Wayne is walking around. He's got the same dour expression.
Okay. Yeah. The idea is that some sort of brooding lunatic who goes out instead of using his billions to help the city, but just physically fights people in some kind of mechanized armor suit, might be a bit weird. So the problem here, the ultimate problem here, is that Ben Shapiro dislikes the ideology of the film. And the ideology of the film is that Batman's self-centered, egotistical rampage against crime through his Batman persona, rather than through his wealth and his actual power, is nothing more than a power trip he engages in to beat up low-level thugs while he ignores the actual powerful people in the city. Remember, he had been Batman for 2 years. He's like the world's greatest detective. He had been Batman for 2 years, and Batman was just blindsided by this whole Falcone conspiracy theory. If you guys have actually seen the movie, like he spent 2 years beating like random people below the poverty line up in his mechanized Infinity armor suit. And then he realizes, oh, there are systemic problems being conducted by like powerful criminals that I know nothing about. Oh my God. Like, he had no idea. The point here is that he's broken. He's wrong. His approach towards this is incorrect. It doesn't work. And and Ben Shapiro is looking at this and thinking, because he thinks his ideology is unchallengeable, he looks at this and thinks of this as a failing on the movie's part, rather than a criticism of Ben Shapiro's ideology. Because the last thing that Ben Shapiro wants normalized is the idea that ultra-wealthy people have a moral obligation to help their societies through the wealth they possess. What Ben Shapiro wants is an ideology in which the poor and the criminal are degenerates who are inherently bad, who just need to be beaten up by like essentially a tyrant in like an armor suit, and that'll fix social problems. Ben Shapiro's ideology is criticized in this film, and he thinks that's the film's fault instead of his. This would, okay, to be a little bit more spicy about it, this would be like a Nazi watching a film in which like fascists lose, and then he would go like, this doesn't make any sense. They didn't win at the end. Like, this would be like a Nazi watching like Inglourious Bastards at the end going like, I don't get it. What was the payoff? This doesn't make any sense at all. Wait, why did the Bear Jew not perish in his fight against the Aryans? Like, what? Like that? It's so blind. It's so like a fascist watching Star Wars and being confused why Luke didn't turn at the end. It's just like, it's so revealing of their mentality.
Expression, same glazed look, same kind of emo thing going on as Batman does the entire movie. And so there's no dichotomy. Alrighty, folks, well, I may not have loved the Batman, but here's the thing. Need with available as myfamilyrelies.com/film. He is Batman. Has only been Batman for a couple of years, so he's not really good at Batmaning yet. And he is tracking down criminals, and he gets drawn into a plot by the Riddler. The Riddler is giving clues so that Batman can track down all the way through the system of Gotham this citywide corruption that apparently is going to bring down the entire superstructure of faith in the city. Meanwhile, you have Catwoman, who's Selena Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz. And Zoe Kravitz is similarly engaged in an attempt to commit a robbery against one of these underworld figures, but she's drawn into Batman's orbit by a murder that both of them are investigating at the same time, the murder of her roommate, maybe something more going on there. The Riddler is the main villain of the movie. You see the Penguin a fair bit. Carmine Falcone is one of the big characters in the movie. You get a little bit of Alfred. Of course, you get Jim Gordon, whose main job in this film is apparently just to say Jesus over and over again.
She was saving her friend. Actually, I don't remember. Was she planning the robbery before? She was planning the robbery before, right? She lost her friend while planning the robbery, but that was like a long time thing, right? Because she already had the Catwoman persona. Yeah, okay. So she lost her friend while getting in like deeper, essentially, to the robbery was to get her friend's passport back. Okay, that was the robbery of the house. What about the robbery of the car that was later in the movie? Was that being planned too, or was that revenge for the friend missing? Because she only realized her friend was dead. Yeah, the money was planned. So she only realized her friend was dead when she tried to go for the money. I think she was planning both of them. She wanted to rob the passport, and she wanted to rob the car for the money. I think it's safe to assume Catwoman had been doing robberies for a while up until that point, because she already had like all the Catwoman powers and like the outfit, right? Like she already had the like the get up. Like I doubt that was I doubt that was just done to rob a passport and one car, right? Like she's probably been doing cat burglary for a while.
Christ, this Coulson.
Whenever something bad happens, he just goes, Jesus. And that happens like 6 times. Like Jim Gordon does nothing except for basically stop Batman from getting arrested a lot. That's pretty much all he does. He's a bad detective. He doesn't do anything. The plot is that all these people get killed.
Wait, what? He does a ton. He's a pretty stoic character, but he's a really... Wait, so first of all, he covers for Batman constantly, which is the main thing that Gordon does. He's like his inside man in the Gotham City Police Department. Additionally, he was present for a significant part of the investigation. They interrogated that criminal that Catwoman had dangling over the building together. He was present at the orphanage. They did investigation together. They went to the car together. It was because of his investigation on his laptop that the email was sent out to journalists. Okay, personally, I really liked this Gordon. Do you guys agree? I thought this was a good Jim Gordon, you know? I thought he really sold the image of like the tired, like he feels like a beat cop, even though he's obviously not at that rank. And he gets in a lot of shit covering for Batman, which is ultimately a good thing, you know, for the investigation. But he has to like play it chill. I don't know. I think he did a good job there.
Killed, Batman uncovers it. He realizes that his dad was corrupt also, or that his dad engaged in corruption with Carmine Falcone. Finally, we get to the end. Paul Dano does it's such a ripoff of Seven. He gives himself up. He doesn't get captured by Batman. Batman does not prevent a single one of these deaths. Batman, in fact, is complicit in one of the deaths by accident. And he doesn't actually capture the Riddler because he's clever. The Riddler gives himself up by sitting at a diner and getting arrested. Then he...
Okay, I don't think the villain giving themselves up is a ripoff of Seven. Okay.
Unleashes a bombing of Gotham that essentially causes the flooding of the city. And Batman goes to the Madison Square Garden, where a mayoral event is now being held for the brand new mayor, who is an uplifting black female who has no other story or backstory.
See, this is very fucking weird. People like Ben Shapiro are always trying to convince me, listen, we're not racist. We're just against wokeness. This is incredibly weird. Like, does this not sound like it would be... This sounds to me like it would be perfectly in line with like something Nick Fuentes would say. Like, this is exactly what Nick Fuentes would say during an interview, or not an interview, a review of the Batman. He would go like this enterprising, upstanding black female. Like, he would do the exact same thing. Like, Ben, I thought Republicans were supposed to be race blind. What are you doing? You can't simultaneously complain about like wokeness forcing people of color in, but anytime you see a black person do something good or a white person do something bad, you like freak out over. The funny thing is that he's actually the caricature of what he says progressives are, because Ben Shapiro says that lefties will freak out if we ever see a white person do good or a black person do bad, but not really. I mean, obviously, if there's like hard-coded weird racial stereotypes, then there's something to criticize there, but that doesn't happen every time. But on the contrary, Ben Shapiro will literally call out every time people of color do good or white people do bad. Every time he talks about media, that warrants attention. Every single time. Unbelievable projection.
Story, so she's really uninteresting. It starts to flood, and up on top, in the wings, are a bunch of Paul Dano's followers, are a bunch of the Riddler's followers who are all dressed like the Riddler, and they are shooting down into the crowd to try and kill members of the elite in Gotham City. And so Batman goes up there and he's beating people up. There comes a point where he's beating this guy, and he's really, like, maybe beating him almost to death. And he stops, and they take off that guy's mask, and they say, "Who are you?" And the guy says, "I am vengeance." Okay, now this is the theme throughout the film. Ooh, the theme. Okay, so in order to explain why this is a problem, you have to now understand the character of the Riddler. So it says right at the beginning of the movie, "Who is Batman? I'm vengeance," right? He's just on the streets and he's beating people up.
I'm vengeance.
And then people keep calling him Mr. Vengeance for no apparent reason. Like, we don't know why they're calling him that, because he never actually publicly says he's vengeance. It's in his creepy diary, which again is supposed to be a mirror image of...
I assume he's said it multiple times. I assume he's often asked who he is, and he says it.
The fact that the Riddler also keeps a Zodiac Killer style diary. So they're supposed to be two halves of the same whole. Batman is beating up this follower of the Riddler's. He takes off his mask, and the guy says, "I'm vengeance." And suddenly Batman sees. Suddenly Batman realizes he can't be vengeance. That's not what he's meant to do. He's betrayed his mission. And so he then descends on.
No. He doesn't think he's betrayed his mission. He thinks that his mission is bad. There's a difference there. That is his mission. The point there is that his mission is the thing that he's now trying to stop other people from doing. His mission has been vengeance, and that mission is a bad mission. It's not him betraying some initial mission.
On an electrified cable because he's trying to stop people from being electrocuted by this flying electrical wire. And he cuts off the cable. He's holding on to it. He falls down into the water. A rebaptism. He gets up, and then he proceeds to lead a bunch of people who are not really trapped, but kind of trapped, I suppose. And he leads them to, I guess, a safer place by carrying a torch. And then he goes up to the top of Madison Square Garden, and he is helping people be airlifted and medevaced out. And this is how he has learned fulfillment.
Okay. I did criticize elements of this in the video that I have on my other channel, but I will say, I'm pretty sure that was the first time we saw in the movie Batman do a selfless act to save other people. Up to that point, everything that he had done had been about pursuing and fighting criminals and about tracking down criminals. Like that's it. Like that's everything that he'd done. And that was the first time he took a risk to himself to save other people. Even in the beginning, the very first thing we see Batman doing is beating up a bunch of like thugs on a subway who were going to like beat the shit out of some random guy. Like there was some innocent guy who was there. And Batman stops them. But the impression that I got from that scene is that Batman was only there to beat up the thugs, not to save the guy, you know? Like, Batman doesn't care for or comfort the guy. He doesn't, like, do anything to help or, like, assist him in any way. Even, like, not even, like, a word of comfort, really. It seems like he's really just hyped for the fight, and just having acceptable targets to direct that antagonism towards is what he's hyped about, you know? Like, so him diving to go, like, save a bunch of people who are, like, trapped and drowning and stuff or whatever, like, that to me seems like a pretty strong way of indicating his priorities are changing.
So,
yeah, the person he was saving was terrified of him.
What is this movie about? This movie is about how fighting criminality does not actually help innocent people. He says this at the very beginning. He says, I'm not sure I'm doing any good. I'm not sure I'm doing any good. By fighting the criminals, crime is still up. It turns out that Batman has to stop being Batman. Batman has been missing it the whole time. What Batman really has to be is Superman. Batman needs to go into areas like Madison Square Garden and not fight the criminals. He needs to go and lead people with a torch to a slightly safer area. He needs to help medevac people on the top of it. He needs to build Habitat for Humanity. He needs to.
Okay. So first of all, the point here is that what he was doing, which was indiscriminately attacking just random criminals, is not sufficient to improve the city that he lives in. And this is true. You guys can do it yourself, okay? Break the law, one of you. Buy a gun, walk around Detroit, and find criminals and shoot them. See if that has any effect. Don't do this. This is a joke. Don't actually do this. See if this has any positive effect on the crime rates in the city. You will find, and this is shocking, I know, you will find that they go up. Can you guess why? If you think about it for like a quarter of a second, obviously crime is not going to go down because a vigilante is running around beating the shit out of people who are on food stamps because, like, on a subway. Obviously. The whole point of the movie is that all of these problems were caused by corruption from the top down, that the mob and the government of the city worked together to siphon off humanitarian, like donations, essentially, and used them to enrich themselves and allowed the city to starve out and die. That's explicitly the point. Corruption and top-level political problems are what creates these situations. So the idea here isn't that he has to stop being Batman. The idea here is that he has to direct his antagonism better. In this respect, the Riddler was correct. Batman should have been going after people like Falcone since the beginning. Don't you guys agree? What is Batman doing? On a subway beating up random people? He should have been going after the mob. He should have been using his detective skills. What are his detective skills going towards? Beating up dudes on the subway. What is he detecting there? Like he's like smelling these guys' breath after he knocks them out and determining they had like a hoagie for lunch. Like what is your work going towards there? Investigate. Go after powerful people. That's the point. But this I am vengeance thing doesn't work because his vengeance, that's a feeling. That's his personal feeling, you know? That feeling was directing him to just beat up like random thugs on the subway. He doesn't need vengeance. He needs a broader strategy for fixing the city. He needs to go after these people. He needs to go after powerful people. Batman needs to go after powerful people, and Bruce Wayne does as well. That's the lesson. Not that Batman isn't worthwhile, but that he has been misdirecting his gifts and his assets. But Ben Shapiro misses this completely. Bruce Wayne should be an investigative journalist. Unironically, I always felt like the biggest waste of Superman as a character is that Clark Kent never does any journalism, ever. He basically just writes about the stuff that Superman does because he's there, you know? But, like, I feel like investigative journalist Superman, where, you know, like, he uses the Superman powers against the supervillains and the investigative journalism assisted by his Superman powers to investigate corruption that he can't just stop by punching down walls. I think that's good. That's a good bit right there.
To join Jimmy Carter and build houses for homeless people. That's what Batman needs to be doing. This really is a sort of attack on the idea that fighting crime helps innocent people. It's an almost defund the police attitude toward what crime is.
Yeah, it's almost that like just randomly beating up like just low-level criminals doesn't actually fix anything. If you can, what? It's almost like this movie is criticizing Ben's ideology, and he's very, very confused by it.
And it's an attack on the basic idea that individuals are capable of doing justice by finding bad guys and fighting them.
What? Wait. No, the lesson here explicitly was that individuals can do justice by fighting against corruption at the top, by going after the mob and the government. That was explicitly the moral good that he did. They were championing it at the end.
Instead, apparently, individuals are only capable of doing nice things by helping little old ladies cross the street. It's this sort of mentality that has led to New York turning into Gotham City in the last couple of years, by the way.
Okay. Okay. He's just making shit up, of course.
That's a fundamental betrayal of what Batman is. What makes Batman different from the Riddler and than any of these other criminals is these criminals target innocent people and Batman targets criminals. That's the basis of the character. The entire basis of the character is the cops are bad at targeting criminals because they're corrupt. Batman is good at targeting criminals because he's smart and because he's rich and because he's incorruptible.
Which criminals? That's the question. Which criminals? Ben can't answer this because Ben is explicitly pro-oligarch and pro, city corruption. This city corruption, keep in mind, was brought about primarily, through a lack of transparency, through business interests. The billion that was carved up by the mob and by the city government literally came from an oligarch, That Ben Shapiro doesn't want you questioning power. That's the main thing. So he cannot recognize the point here. He simply cannot.
That's the entire basis of Batman. And they take all that and they flip it on its head because they don't like Batman. And this is why I have real problems with the movie. I kind of hate the movie. Like, the more I think about it, the more I get angry at it. Because they take the fundamental idea of what Batman is supposed to be, the protector of the innocent who targets the criminal, and they say that if he targets the criminal, this makes him no different than criminals. Because Paul Dano, who's the Riddler, is also targeting criminals.
Up until the end. I would agree with that if it weren't for the fact that the film explicitly spelled out the fact that it wasn't targeting the criminals that was the problem. It was the attitude he took and the reason why he was doing it. If your only guiding policy for targeting criminals is vengeance, how the fuck are you doing any good? Like, what, you're just going to go after any random person you're, mad at? Like, that doesn't solve any problem. You have to be targeted about it. You have to be intelligent about it. Hold on. Pardon me. Hello, my fat boy. Did you have fun eating cherry blossoms and not getting cyanide poisoning. Ooh, he's happy.
All the way up until the very end, when they have to just sort of add on this attack on Madison Square Garden and New York Broad Writ for no reason. He has no motivation for blowing up a bunch of trucks and flooding downtown. Like, none. He doesn't explain why he does it. He doesn't explain what the purpose of it is. All the way along, he's been saying, I'm exposing the true face of Gotham. Okay, that's a rationale. But what does that have to do with blowing up the city? They add that on just so that they can create a false distinction between Batman and the Riddler.
I completely agree with this 100%. He is literally fully correct here. The all of the Riddler's attacks had a distinct political pattern and theme behind them up until this point, and then at the end, randomly mass death. And it did feel like it was a cop-out, because if they hadn't done that, they would have had some delightful moral ambiguity in that there genuinely would have been very little difference between Batman and the Riddler, apart from methods and a few casualties, which, given the size and scope of the problems that we're dealing with here, like the loss of this entire city, is relatively minor compared to like what the stakes are, you know? I think that would have been good.
So that Batman can change his mission. So now Batman's mission is not beating up bad guys and stopping bad guys. Now Batman's mission is to be a firefighter. He's no longer a detective or a police officer. He's a firefighter. That's a betrayal.
And he went back into stupid territory again. The issue is that vengeance was a bad method for determining who to go after, because it led the Riddler down a bad path, which was initially halfway morally justifiable, but then went down the direction that it did, you know? Like, Batman had to change not the idea of going after people, just whatever.
And it's a real problem. And that's my biggest issue with the film. It just feels like such a sellout. It feels like such a sellout of what Batman is supposed to be. Again, it's got a little bit of woke politics, but that's really not the problem. The problem is the broader woke orientation of the film. If the Nolan Batman was about the idea that you help innocent people by fighting criminality and provide an inspiration to people to fight criminality, if that's the idea of Batman, which it is, that's completely thrown on its head.
How is he just deciding what the point of Batman is? Isn't the whole point of putting hundreds of millions of dollars into a movie is that you kind of get to decide the point of your movie? Isn't that the point? It's a commentary on Batman as a character. It's not like this movie, The Batman, is missing the point. It's not. There's no way the Batman could be what it is without them being fully aware of what Batman has been throughout, like, pop culture history.
Here, Matt Reeves, who's credited as both a director and a writer on the film, he does not like Batman, and I can't get over this. How do you give $150 million to a dude to make a movie about Batman when he clearly does not like Batman? When he thinks that Batman is bad, and that Batman has to be shown the error of his ways and learn to be a nicer human being. By the way, at the very end of the movie, Catwoman, who at no point has actually demonstrated any sort of moral bona fides. Like, I'm not sure she does a moral thing in the entire movie. At the very end, she says to him, why don't you run away with me? And we'll go rob some hedge fund CEO.
Holy shit. Sorry, I was just looking how it did. Because he's like bitching and moaning about it, but whew, okay. They're going to make their money back. This is from 4 days ago, so this would have been, what, the first 2 weeks since release? Wow. That is impressive. Second biggest grossing straight reboot domestically behind Spider-Man Homecoming. Wow, coming close to a Marvel. A Marvel property. That is crazy. I like the Batman. I did.
CEOs. And he doesn't say back to her, you know, that's bad to rob hedge fund CEOs. Instead, he's like, he thinks about it for a moment. She's like, no, you belong in.
Whoa, Ben. I wonder why.
And we'll go rob some hedge fund CEOs. And he doesn't say back to her, you know, that's bad to rob hedge fund CEOs. Instead, he's like, he thinks about it for a moment. She's like, no, you belong in Gotham. The generalized cheap left-wing sensibility is.
Wow, that's crazy. I wonder. Ben, you realize that Batman is a criminal, right? He is literally a vigilante who, in most adaptations of the character, is actively being hunted by the police. I can't believe that Batman broke character here and didn't chastise Catwoman against committing a crime, which he would never do, against oligarchs, which he spent this entire film fighting against and realizing are the real reasons there are problems in Gotham. Damn, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I can't believe that he wouldn't be super outraged by that after everything that had happened. Hey, you know what I just realized? Why is it that in a lot of Batman media, Batman is being pursued by the Gotham City Police Department, but not by the feds? I'm pretty sure that in any real life situation, like, they would send FBI after Batman, not just the Gotham police. That would make it pretty hard to keep his secret identity. Like, yeah. Batman versus FBI, I would read the fuck out of that. The FBI can't beat Batman. Look, okay? You know what? I'm just saying I want to see it. What's the difference between the two? Not in America. Between the Gotham City Police Department and... Well, I'm just going to assume by Gotham City Police Department, you mean any major, like, police precinct. Police departments have a lot of power. The FBI kind of has unlimited power if it wants to. That's the main difference, I guess. Like, the basic difference is that it's the scale you can operate on, you know? A police department can be corrupt. They have a lot of money. The New York City Police Department gets $6 billion every year, which would make it, I think, like the 15th strongest NATO member. That's not a joke, by the way. Our police departments make an obscene, like they have an incredible amount of people and equipment. The difference, I think, is like specialty equipment and transparency, you know? Most of the stuff that police departments have to do has to be kept like public. Not to say that it all is, but they have to run through relatively public sources. I think the FBI can just run and do whatever the fuck it wants. Like, I'm not fully educated on the operational capabilities of the FBI, but I'm pretty sure they have like a ridiculous amount of power to deploy any people or equipment they want for any reason, even if it's illegal, because they have a basically unparalleled. We having fun? Do we want to be? I love him. He's happy. I'll let him out in a minute.
Is very silly with regard to Catwoman. If I have not made clear at this point, the movie's also 8 hours long. It's like a Wagnerian ring cycle, this film. It just goes on and on and on. Every shot is composed in order to have people walk across rooms. Like Christopher Nolan would snap that cut right to the action. If you watch Dark Knight, there is no wasted motion in that film, and it's 2.5 hours long. This is 3 hours.
Of course, Ben Shapiro would be a fucking soy-chugging Marvel movie requiring, oh my god, I'm sorry we had a more somber tone, and I'm sorry we had pacing. There wasn't an explosion every 3 seconds. Jesus.
Hours long, and it feels like 4. I never check my watch during movies, particularly not a Batman movie, and I checked my watch at least twice during this film. It's better than Marvel, because everything's better than Marvel, because Marvel doesn't take characters seriously, and Marvel feels like cotton candy. This doesn't feel like cotton candy. It just feels like a fundamental betrayal of the character, which is just, it's lazy writing. And more than that, it's not nice to the audience. The audience wants to see Batman be Batman and be good at being Batman and know why he's being Batman. They don't want to see Batman learn the lesson that being Batman is bad. That defeats the purpose of going to a Batman film. Alrighty, so that...
I love the intellectual uncuriosity here. Because, you know, Ben Shapiro likes to LARP as like an intellectual, but this is just a phenomenal inability to grapple with the concept of art fundamentally, you know? All right, well, that was about as stupid as I thought. Let the cat out. Okay, the people in chat who are genuinely concerned for the cat have never owned a cat. He is delighted. You know, I went to use the restroom a couple of days ago, and I had the bin in here facing up because I was just moving stuff earlier, you know. And he actually managed to tip the bin over onto himself. Like he went into it and then stepped on a side and walked onto a side to flip it on that side and then knocked it over forward. Because when I came out, no one else had been in here. And he was just in the box, basically right here as well. It flips. Here, let me help. He is purring so loud. Yeah? Ooh, I love you. He's gonna hop in. Do it. Yes. Okay. Now plop. He plopped. Okay. Oh shit, it's 3. I have to end at the normal time here. I've got stuff to do. All right, guys, listen. I understand that the streams have been infrequent and mostly Elden Ring lately, but I have good news, okay? And the news is that that is finally coming to an end soon. We have, I think, a few debates that I have scheduled in the near future. And pretty soon we are going to be going back to a more regular schedule. Oh, I also thought, okay? I think here, let me read some donations. I feel bad for not acknowledging them all today. Hold on. Skill, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Old Man Shea, thank you for the tier 3 sub. W Dowden Z, thank you for the roughly $7. I love you. I think that it sucks that Ukraine is like drafting people basically, or like preventing men from leaving as refugees. But it's a situation that Russia kind of forced. So, you know, ultimately, like, Russia's the one engaging in this. Vosh Elden Ring stream when? But, like, you guys complained. People in my subreddit complained about the Elden Ring streams. I like the Elden Ring streams, don't get me wrong. I think they're fun, personally. Sorry, I'm just tired. I've been getting at most 4 hours of sleep every night for weeks. Schleppen Life, Guido Gustiz, and Malmanufacture, thank you for the tier 1 subs all. Bronx, Bjorn, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the $10 both. Do you understand what flagship means? It simply means it's a ship that carries high brass. The closest comparison are carrier strike groups. Yeah, it's the coolest ship, obviously. That's the rule. It might happen, Sake. We got to get to that soon. The Anarcho-Atheist and Ryan Palm, thank you for the $5. Likewise, Hoki Zalem. Scarlet Death, thank you for the $10. YRPM and Magpiros, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Fabsta, thank you likewise. Artemy trying to escape the room by clawing at the door. Horace Me and Noah Gray, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Ego Waffle, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Really appreciate that. Imaginary MDA, thank you for the incredibly kind $50. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Very good anti-essentialism, right? Thank you. I appreciate that. Came from the heart. Has the new Kirby game came out? We have to play that on stream. Maybe we should move from the baby shit of Elden Ring to the man shit of Kirby. What are the reviews? like because I've played most of the Kirby games that have come out in the past decade have been like baby games. Not to say like they're bad or whatever, but they're like games for babies. You know? Okay. See Justice, thank you for the 5. Hylian, thank you likewise. FMK Ultra, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Remember when Lauren Southern was completely irrelevant until Destiny started rehabilitating her? Yep, I remember. Prison Roof, thank you for the 5 Canadian. Yeah, I gotta focus more on the Supreme Court hearings. I've been so fucking out of it. Lucas, thank you for the 5. Rustic with the 10. Sake with the 10, thank you very kindly. Ninja Taco with the 10. Sake again with the 10. Yeah. A Catwoman has been portrayed like POC so many times. They're ages and ages. Tell them to watch the Elden Ring death comp that Ryan made. Oh, Ryan texted me last night. Then I looked at it and thought, am I sober enough to do work stuff right now? And then I thought, no. And then I didn't look at it. Wait, is it on the Vosh Pit? Or is it on Ryan's particular channel? Oh my god, it's on my thing. Vosh dies 200 times in Elden Ring for charity? Holy shit, wait, hold on. You guys gotta sub. You guys gotta sub to the Vosh Pit if you haven't, because legit, the editors just put so much good shit on here. Oh. Oh boy. No. I see. Okay, let's take this guy seriously. We're out of health here. Oh boy! You know, on second thought... yes. True. Do you guys like how I'm trying to pretend that I'm not mad? I'm like, yes, a death in a From Software game, I'm probably gonna rewatch this myself. Hey, give some love to Ryan, okay? Ryan and Tempest do so much good work for this community, and you all don't appreciate them enough, okay? Where do I watch this? On the Vosh Pit, my second channel, which, by the way, is getting close to 100k subs and then got pulled back because of the goddamn... Oh my god, they made a Gimli fan cam. See? This is a Gimli stan channel. I'm bringing it out. This is a Gimli... Literally the best channel on YouTube. Literally, objectively the best channel on YouTube. Fuck. I gotta start streaming again, produce content so I can get the subs up, so that I can honor them with high sub counts so more people can see their wonderful work. Okay. Listen. I gotta go, guys. I love you all very much. You're beautiful people. I love you. Who's streaming? Who should I... Who? Askers who? Who? Askers who? Who? Askers who? Askers... Dylan? Let's do Dylan. It's been a while since we've done Dylan. Do. Who askers? Dylan. Dylan Burns TV. Save.